Oh, yes.
Hey there, chums. We're
Because
going
I
to kick
can't
it
see
off
my
because we're
face. 'Cause
about half an hour late anyway.
yeah, yeah, exactly. We're sorry,
We've been
guys.
bullshitting.
Hey,
Sorry.
bullshitting. Yes, bullshitting. So sorry. Thank you for
It,
joining us or rejoining us if you came on with our huge expectant crowd of
oh,
one
yeah.
or two that of each other
I'm,
that's eagerly awaiting our stream to begin.
yeah, I'm sure you guys know from our choice of hobby that we don't love to just listen to ourselves talk. So like we were just jaw jacking, you know.
But I guess what hurt this time was this was actually one of those rare moments of agreement. So rather than back and forth, it was like revving each other up more.
Yeah.
Yeah, preach it, brother. Another thing, you go, boy.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
So hey, welcome, Jim and Josh chatting D&D over here on DM Geezer Jim channel or over there on Grizzly 10 Fin channel. If you're on my side, I encourage you to follow my boy over there. He's gracious enough, first and foremost, to join for these chats. Secondly, I got a
Oh, I
few new
need you
people.
way more than you need me.
Oh, you're my no, dude. This is the same thing, and I'm gonna take a second here and talk to you. And it's no different than when I'm talking to my audience because it's the fucking truth. As you said, we're in a hobby where we like to sit and listen to ourselves talk. I'm a DM, a career DM. I'm about 10 times that far. But it is so much more engaging, exciting, and honestly, some moments that I learn from having someone to engage with. So it's not, you never think, oh, he knows everything he brings up. Fuck no. Number one, there has yet to be a conversation that you and I have had that I haven't either learned something or shifted my view ever so slightly on something. And for you to be able to say a 50-plus-year-old Hispanic dude has shifted his view on something, that's big, guys. So
Fair.
take some pride in that. And I appreciate you being here with me, Josh, and I appreciate you guys as you drop in and out of Twitch chatting because I love the engagement. I love being able to converse and share ideas and share the passion about, something hopefully that we all enjoy, gaming and D&D primarily now and being goobs and being, fucking gaming nerds and all of it, man. It's all great. So I love sharing the table with you. So
Yeah.
don't ever say like, "Oh, you're no." But yeah.
Yeah.
So why D&D?
Yeah, so this was something I was kind of thinking about today because we've talked a lot about like how to do D&D and like what D&D is and stuff like that, but I don't think we've ever talked about like why we've picked this game out of like all of the other options that there are out there. Like what does this game offer us that something else couldn't, you know? Um I would say that clearly there is like an established name, because it was one of the first, no, probably the first, because yeah, chainmail into D&D, so it was probably the first real fantasy tabletop RPG out there.
The first
Um,
commercially released,
yes,
which means everything if you keep in mind the time. Nowadays, hey, Bacon, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. The difference now is we can crowdfund, we can Kickstarter, so the entry bar is a lot lower now than
yeah,
it was back beyond days. So published, copyrighted and published, yes, D&D was the first of it, chainmail leading into D&D.
yeah,
So name brand recognition there.
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Um, but I was gonna say that I think that along with that though comes years of them building this system though, and each of these systems has something different to offer to different people.
Hmm.
And I know a lot of people prefer like Pathfinder because 3.5, everybody loved 3.5 and stuff like that. But 5e offers something that none of them can offer, and that's accessibility. You know,
Hmm.
like it's something that's
Flexibility,
super easy to play. Anybody can play
flex.
it.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, especially
Okay.
now
Yeah,
with
that's
D&D
fair.
Beyond with it. You don't even have to write your own shit down anymore.
Yeah. So I mean, Dungeons and Dragons. I think for most people, it was. I'll speak for myself. Now, with a couple caveats that I'll hit as I go. Dungeons and Dragons was what I got for Christmas when I was, I guess, what, sixth grade going into seventh grade, 12, 13, 12-year-old. Little Jimmy got the purple box that's on the shelf back here, and the player's handbook, and the monster manual, and this not even and I wish I would have saved that when we were so much fucking money. The deities and demigods was big hardback. I had the little white from the Chainmail supplement
Oh
series.
man,
The
yeah,
lore and legends, a tiny little bit. Oh, I wish I would have saved it. I mean, it was a turd in regards to actual production value and usefulness, but just for collectability's sake.
yeah.
So that was my Christmas then, and then next year it was Squad Leader, and the year after that it was Starfleet Battles, and the year
Oh,
after
so you've
that was
always been a
BattleTech.
nerd.
Always been it. My dad kept me, dude. I blame Dad. He gave me my first hit, and it's never stopped, man. Technology has certainly made D&D more accessible and automated. Absolutely, yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
absolutely, Bacon. But so for me, it was the first one I got. But we also played Gangbusters. We also played Star Frontiers. We also played Gamma World. We also dabbled around. That was really it at that time, and then a lot of tabletop games.
Yeah.
But this is if you had a console, it was Atari 2600. So genuinely, games were war games and Squad Leader and Starfleet and definitely D&D were way more entertaining than Pong. So my generation, there weren't many of us gamers, but we had the whole world in front of us. But I've played Twilight 2000, and I played Cyberpunk 2020. I played 4 out of the 5 editions of Dungeons and Dragons. I dabbled in Pathfinder. I end up landing here. Muds or Muds inspired D. What in multi-user dungeons? I think it was D&D inspiring it first.
Yes.
Honestly, because we're talking 78.
Yeah. Because
for the kinds of that.
Yeah, because then Muds did actually wind up making Neverwinter, though. That's what Neverwinter was originally built off of, though. Yeah.
Yeah. But at the same time, even when D&D came out, published by TSR, there was a system called GURPS, General Use RP System, GURPS, General Use Role-Playing System that came out. Roll-Aids was a third-party, PC Muds text-based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't have the PCs accessible in 1983 that we have now, much less the networking capability. So remember that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, that's the thing that blows my mind.
The movie War Games that was published in 1986 was ahead of the real internet for us. It was like, oh, yeah, it's never going to work like that, dude. You're not going to be able to call from your Atari 800 at home and connect to the Pentagon. It's a lot of
just the initial setup of that movie where it's just like some kid is like, oh, games, which one do I want to select? Oh, nuclear war. Like
geothermal nuclear war. Yeah, we are. Yeah, I'm that old, and the game, the hobby's that old.
Oh, but
Fellowship in the Ring and LARPing before D&D. Well, who wasn't running around LARPing with the yard-long marker stick from the construction site next door, guys? That was 100%. We were playing D&D before we were playing D&D.
Yeah, I mean everybody.
Yeah,
everybody has that thing of pick up a stick, fight with it.
Yeah, I think so. So in that context, maybe we've been playing role-playing and LARPing before we even knew what a D20 was.
That's fair.
Instinctually as a kid. Stick go clubs, pointy stick go stab, stick with bendy go gun.
So this is like kind of an off tangent thing because of the D20 thing, right? I don't shop at Hobby Lobby because originally when I was first trying to learn how to play D&D, the very first one I got into was 3.5. Mm-hmm. I would have been in high school at that point in time that I was trying to play it. But I went to Hobby Lobby because my thought was, oh, a hobby store, they'll probably have dice that I can buy, right? So I went around and I couldn't find any. So I went up to the front desk and I was like, hey, do you guys sell like multi-sided dice, like anything like more than a 6-sided die? And the lady went like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I'm trying to learn how to play D&D, and she stopped me mid-sentence. She was like, this is a Christian store. We don't do things like that here. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't know that like that the satanic panic thing was around D&D, so I was just like, what the fuck? This is like the weirdest thing that a person's ever said to me in a store. I was like, I don't want to shop here anymore if people are just going to be like this obtuse for me asking about something.
1984, we could go to the Aurora Public Library and check out Dungeons and Dragons books. And they had like 5 or 6 copies. They never let us have the modules. You could use the modules on site, but even then they wouldn't let you photocopy them.
Oh man, I was gonna
say. Remember, a lot of people. Well, here's the thing: a lot of people don't. This is an old man shaking fist at cloud. Remember all the old modules? They were printed in that blue scale. Xerox would not read a blue scale. The whole thing would come out gray.
Oh
So
man.
that was the reason that the inside jackets were published in blue, y'all, on the old ones, behind the scenes thing, because you couldn't use them on an old photocopier or mimeograph. Nowadays we
Huh.
scan it and roll, but yeah, technology
Interesting.
thing.
I did not
So
know that.
yeah,
That's
that was
cool.
copyright protection back in yon day,
Yeah, that's cool.
So but yeah, so
Good idea,
we
honestly.
had access
Brilliant.
to it in 84, 85, 80, 85. No. Royal Public Library didn't have any D&D shit anymore.
Just I'm wondering how many nerds were sitting there with fucking notebooks just copying the shit down. Fuck, I could. Yeah. I mean, I would have too. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I could, yeah, I would 100% too.
You'd go to the library and you sit down with with a couple pieces of graph paper and look at the module in its little plastic slip cover and redraw the map, and then you got your Spyro notebook and went 1, 3 bugbears, 16 gold, 2 pit, 30 foot, and that was it. No different than what I do now on D&D Beyond and spreadsheets, man. Same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Some
That's fair.
things, the more the things change, the more they stay the same. It's just a different method of note taking,
Yeah.
It's now people are like
I can highlight,
taking
copy,
it
and
a step
paste.
further, copy, paste, drop it in. And now we're going a step further, and there's dedicated software that will manage your campaign world for you. I mean, I don't want to sound like a dick, but okay, so you've already got your documents, your Google Docs, your spreadsheets, your PDFs in the system on your desktop, and now you need to file all of that into another software system to file it. But they are some cool shit, because if you're into it, you can hyperlink your map to click on this to open up this file that will open up this map that will open up this Word doc that will open up, like the layouts from Roll20 and Foundry and shit like that.
Yeah.
So the technology is the same thing. Back then it was index cards and hand drawings. Now it's AI art and Excel tables.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. But
it's still the same game at the core, and I think that's why D&D appeals. But I also think that's why Pathfinder people love Pathfinder, because that's what they learned. That was their exposure to the world, to the genre. So why do it's like when I shrug my shoulder and go, I don't need to learn Pathfinder. I got D&D. There's Pathfinder people who say the same thing. I don't need to learn D&D. I got Pathfinder.
yeah.
So I think a
mostly
lot
the
of
same.
it is, what system did you get started with?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. My first one ever was the Warhammer Fantasy role-playing game. That was the very first tabletop RPG I ever played. It was rough too. It was rough.
Yeah.
Like,
Roll20 10 years later still has no organized tab for you to open tabs. Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So it's like the more widgets you start adding on, the more complicating it gets. I mean, I joke about it. I'm at the same time impressed. I've watched some of the other DMs doing their co-working streams, doing Foundry stuff, and I'm like, golly, man, you're like a programmer. You're smart, because I know I couldn't fucking do it. As smart as I am, ain't no way I can make Foundry work the way some of these folks do. Hell no, fam.
yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you spent 3 hours making something flash.
Yeah.
If your players never cast that spell to make the spiritual weapon come out to flash, was that time well spent? But you know what? They enjoy doing it, and they're good at it. So I'm not going to take anything away from them. That's the part of Dungeons and Dragons or RPGs that they like to do.
Yeah.
They can go, if they and any of you guys that have the knowledge to do that, hats off. It's not. I'm not ragging on the ability to do it. Obviously, you got to have a passion for it and enjoy getting into that level of detail to even approach it. And I don't have the ability to do it. So fucking rock on, man.
I've tried a few times to
Played with
learn.
it for 2 minutes, my brain fried, right?
Yeah, I've tried a few times
Yeah.
to learn Roll20, and it's like by step 68, I'm like, fuck, hold on. What was step 4 again? Hold on. Like, and it's just like people can go in there and make these maps where it's like, oh, as you move your character, it has their line of sight specifically within the
Yeah.
fog of war. And fucking, it's like, oh, they have like lights that glow and stuff like that, like as like their lamp lights and stuff. It's like, how? I have no clue how you do shit like that in Roll20 at all. I'm very basic.
Well,
I can
number
make
one, you
little
got to be a
feature things
premium
myself.
user for it.
That's fair.
But then you take your basic JPEG map, you attach anchor points on it that are going to give it the virtual wall. It's built into Roll20 to do that. It's not built into part of the maps. It's built into the Roll20 program. Same with Foundry, same with Albero Rodeo for the most part. Some of your higher end animated maps will come with those features built in, but then therein you get into another thing. What file type is that? Yeah, I can't use that in this tabletop. I got to translate it to this and go to that, and then I'm back to flat JPEG. And so why did I do that anyway? Fuck.
Yeah. That's fair.
You Microsoft Paint the walls and windows and such. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man,
MS Paint right there.
I used to be a
And dude,
fucking MS Paint master,
Bacon,
man.
you shit. I mean, I use Campaign Cartographer. I've done a lot of kind of sideline tweaking to use that as directly as a virtual tabletop, and short of being able to move the map around yourselves and move the tokens around, which ends up pissing off the DM anyway. Um, you know,
Yeah.
as an end user, is there much of a difference?
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, if you really wanted to, you could extrapolate them as a PDF and or whatever, a PNG, and put them into Roll20. But that'd just be another page for us to open to do stuff. Yeah, so like I understand
Yeah.
why you don't do it, but you 100% could if you really wanted to.
What
But
my maps in the
yeah,
in Roll20?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I guess
the reason I
therein
raised the
my
phrase,
point is we're all sitting in Discord anyway. I just share the freaking mapping program into Discord. Otherwise, yeah, now I'm running 3 tabs of D&D Beyond, plus Campaign Card Photographer, plus Roll20, plus Discord, plus. If we can cut one of those out, and Roll20 or virtual tabletops of any sort aren't known as like being necessarily light on your bandwidth or resources.
yeah,
So, if you can cut one of those big hogs out, that helps out everybody,
that's fair.
There's no one at my table that can't play because they are only stuck with a phone.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, 100%.
You got a phone, you ain't playing with the dude that's running Albar Rodeo or Roll20.
Yeah, 100%. When we first
Bacon
started,
said,
I had a phone set up,
yeah,
and that's what I would use for everything. And then I went to having a laptop and a phone as a webcam. Like, yeah, I've
yeah,
slowly upgraded like over time.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Bacon saying he doesn't stream it, should drop by and how they've used Roll20. Yeah, absolutely. And but Bacon, I know, from our conversations, you're very technically proficient. Hell, you're using Blender to make your own 3D models that you can then run in your own fucking 3D printer. And,
Yeah,
I'm here, you're here in regards to technical knowledge. I'm not willing to climb halfway to here just to add an extra layer of software for my players to have to run.
that's fair. But no, we were kind of getting into this off to the side though. But I really think that
Yeah.
the reason that people like D&D though is because of being able to play out stuff like Lord of the Rings, because it's very like that's what everything was based off of, to the point where they got in trouble for some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And because that's what I think about when I think of D&D. I don't think about like I was saying, like these little set pieces. I think of these like epic sprawling adventures, and D&D gives you the capability to do that regardless of what edition you're playing.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's the greatest appeal to it both ways right now. Because again, grognards, graybeards like me will bitch about how, we'll fucking get your World of Warcraft out of my D&D. But guess what? There's a lot of people that play D&D because their first experience with fantasy gaming of any sort was World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
And they hear that there's something that you can play in a fantasy world that's not bound by a computer rule set. Let's give it a try. And then you got my gatekeep ass. Leave your World of Warcraft floating gold question mark at the fucking door when you come to my table. And that's wrong of me. Absolutely. And I admit that quite often.
I don't necessarily
but
agree
the
that
plus
that's
side is,
wrong.
well, no, it's here's the thing. It's crap.
Yeah.
I'll give him the quest board day one. I'll give him the greetings, adventurers. You are new to town here. I'm the town crier, and I'm here to tell you your first quest, because they're gonna have fun with D&D. And then the next time, where's the quest board? Oh, this town ain't got a quest board, man. You out in the wild now. What do we do? You got to ask people. Okay. So yeah, I'll give them use the connections that are there between Skyrim, between World of Warcraft, and like the Dark Souls crazy shit. That's why I think people like the big everything has to be a bunch of boredom to get to one big huge Monster Hunter style set piece battle, to do a bunch of boredom to get to the next big huge set piece battle. That's a gaming mentality that's come into D&D as well.
That's fair. Yeah.
It inspires, innovates, creativity, and problem-solving skills right there, Bacon. So that's, you give them a taste of it, and then people, I was kind of joking with one person, on a Learn to Play. It's like, the moment that I love when you get a new person at the table is they're looking at their sheet and they go, so if I cast Speak with Animals, can I talk to that giant spider? And you go, yeah. And they go, really? You go, yeah. So then if I talk to it and I use animal friendship, yes, he'll be your friend. You'll have a pet giant spider. And the look of sheer joy and amazement and wonder that comes over that player's face when they have just come up with something that wasn't, no one told them to do that. No little tutorial tip popped up and said, hey, pro tip, do this and this. And yes, and you hit it right there, Bacon. Creativity, innovation, problem solving skills, and to see that little synaptic moment go off for the first time in a new player, dude, that's why I do it. Because they're hooked. They are going to be hooked from that point forward, man.
That's good. Yeah.
Yep, new players are your favorite. You get to watch them blossom into chaotic players. Oh yeah. Yeah, Flash Gordon coming. Yeah, Sam Jones coming, and you're gonna have him sign your Spelljammer set.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, so that's I honestly think. And now here's the flip side. I've talked about a bunch of other games. Twilight 2000, love that game, love that fucking game. Beautiful. If you ever wanted to adapt a system to Fallout, if you ever wanted to go gun fu, Warfront, it was designed for that. But that was all it was designed for.
Yeah.
You're not going dragon hunting in a workable. Well, obviously you could go nuts with it, but guess what? GURPS existed for that. Cadillacs and dinosaurs existed for that. Rifts existed for that. So why am I going to go ahead and try to take something that was designed to simulate 20th century combat battlefield down to ballistic penetrations on locations on your tanks that we were playing as a tabletop? We grew up in Colorado. We all watched Red Dawn. We're getting ready for that motherfucker, straight up.
Fair enough.
You know, so if we're going to be upfront about it, so yeah, you know, we traded in our broadswords for M16s. We traded in our pole arms for M249 saws. We started to learn the difference between the penetration of armor-piercing incendiary versus armor-piercing fin-stabilized depleting uranium rounds. You'd think that society would be more scared about a kid that could tell you the ballistic penetration on an AT-4 than they would about the pantheon of an Egyptian thing. But the satanic panic went nuts, and meanwhile, all of us Twilight 2000 kids are learning about military hardware at the age of 13 that didn't officially be released to the public until 1990. Yeah, it was a fucking awesome game, but it was limited to that one point in time, that one genre. It did not work outside of that. So, as cool as it was just simply limited to that scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
imagination didn't go far. Innovation went as far as your skill rolls went.
And that's one of those things where I think that it is
Shadowrun. Sorry, I just, my apologies there. Bacon, you're referring to Shadowrun. I just looked over your comment. Go ahead, Josh. My bad.
No, I was going to say that something like that though is so like in depth. Like it's so meaty that like it doesn't offer you freedom of any kind, because it's like if
Absolutely.
you have a question, it's like, well, here's the answer to that question, you know, like it's so much content that like you can't really play around with it. Yeah,
exactly. So it did great for what it did, but it didn't have legs beyond either a specific crowd or b a specific time period.
Yeah.
D&D, Pathfinder, fantasy, whatever system you picked and you liked transcends that kind of thing. Cyberpunk 2020. You know, I dabbled with a group over that. Seemed awesome. I have to pick up and get a group going for Twilight 2000. Yeah, good game. Fucking great game. Cyberpunk 2020. Y'all know it is Cyberpunk Red now. It's 2020. It's okay. They messed up on the year. No harm, no foul. We're okay. You know, 2077. Everything is canonically correct in that damn game versus the Artel Saurian version of the original tabletop. Why don't people play that? Same kind of thing. You're limited to known technology, known bounds. Fantasy only goes so far. When you start getting into abstract, you get into the net running, and 3/4 of your players aren't there to run around in a Tron-esque described universe. They're there to bang out with Militech hardware and jack up some fucking rippers.
Oh, 100%.
You know, but after you've done that, what else is there? I mean, there's a couple really cool campaigns. I don't want to sell it short, but again, you're restricted to a very, very finite genre. It's a niche product. It's a great product, but it's really hard to go outside of what's given to you. Yeah, D&D fantasy games transcend that. Oh, Shadowrun. Okay, my apologies. Yeah, Shadowrun was an attempt to bridge that gap. Didn't you have some experience with Shadowrun? I looked at it and I was like, "Fuck that! Why are you putting elves in with Uzis? Bite my ass."
So here's my thing: is that I like Shadowrun as a concept. The only thing that I've ever actually played of Shadowrun was the 360 game that existed. That is not Shadowrun at all.
Okay.
It is
Yeah.
a third-person shooter where you can play as elves and ogres and shit. You know.
For me, this shows my pettiness, but this also shows my age. Game Designer Workshop. This is before they got super big and badass about Warhammer. Published Twilight 2000 Second Edition. But then they were starting to get the modules ramped up, and they came up with this really cool thing called Shadowrun. So my game and product got canceled, so a bunch of fairies could run around with machine guns and vampires could run around with katanas in a neon city. So I boycotted this. I never looked at it.
Yeah.
So I'm not objective. I'm with you. As a little bit more an older dude, I love the concept of it. The whole underworld type thing. The Bright universe. Even though it was a crappy movie, I love the fucking concept of it.
Yeah.
You know. So Shadowrun's got a place for that, and thus 40K was born. and GDW ain't looked at a damn thing since, baby. They got their money manufacturing machine running 24/7.
yeah,
What are we up to? 96th edition of Warhammer 40K?
Warhammer is one of those games where, like, I feel like I can't afford to play it. You know what I mean? Where it's like,
Can't.
it's like, oh man, this
You can't.
single fucking guy is $120 just for me to add him to my army. It's like, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I love to build the models. I like to paint them, but that's one of those hobbies where I bought the $100 box set that came with 2 armies. I painted them. I played maybe twice. Was like, okay, one of these armies is way stronger than the other. It's not a very balanced like system for that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Tabletop simulator. Oh, there's a suggestion for it.
yeah, I have that. We could play it at any point in time.
Does it have Warhammer 40K loaded into it?
I don't.
Or do
don't
you have
know.
to buy it?
It might be one of those that you had to buy, but yeah, it's literally just gives you the tabletop so you can play on stuff. I would play.
Yeah.
Guitar
You still got to know the
so
rules, though.
much.
You still got to know the rules.
Yeah,
It doesn't do the rules for you.
I did see that there is like people have done a VR tabletop simulator where they've actually put a VR version of D&D into it, where the
Yeah.
DM sits as like this like thing above the system, and everybody is their characters, and you can cast your magic and stuff like that. That seems like it'd be
Yeah.
pretty fun. But
We're going to see that. That's going to be
it's
similar to
gonna
what
be
we're getting with the Hasbro VTT.
oh,
You know?
absolutely. Eventually. Yeah.
The AI generated mission of the night.
Oh, your weekly quest.
You know, your weekly quest. Yes.
I don't need that to be a thing. I really don't. Like you can tell, like with the Planescape
It's
release,
smart
that
from
they're
a
very-
business point of view.
they're
It's
very much
smart from a
gamifying
business
it.
point of view. Yeah.
Yeah.
But ain't nothing that, and this is where a lot of people that have just gotten into D&D now, kind of like what I was joking about when all the they announced D&D 7 or what next one, whatever. It's like, hey, is this your first time around in Edition War?
Yeah.
I've been through a lot of them.
The only one
And
I
it's
can flat out
okay.
agree with
You
is
pick
4.
the one you like. You take the shit forward with you from the stuff you left behind, or eventually you get to the point where you don't want to move forward, but you like some of the stuff they released, so you pull it back in time with you. That's the joy of D&D. That's the joy of
Absolutely.
tabletop RPGs. If you can make the math work, then the content goes either way. First edition, beck me, all the way up to 5th edition, next edition. If you know how to make the math work, there's nothing stopping you from using anything across the spectrum of D&D to play D&D.
Yeah, that's the thing though, is getting the math to work. I tried from 2nd edition to 3.5 and fucked up a lot of
Okay.
numbers. Fucked up a lot
I'm
of
gonna
numbers.
I'm gonna say that 3.5 translations anyway is a lot more 80% art, 20% science.
Yeah. 100%. But I mean,
you're going for the feel.
yeah, and luckily, if you're really looking for monsters, they have luckily kept up with similar monsters or the exact same monsters through the entire thing. You know, like
Dude, 3.5 had so many more monsters though.
Well,
You guys know
yeah,
my groups know they're facing everything from 1983 to today across the campaign spectrum that they could run into. Because I'm that dumbass geek that will take the time to go, that's a cool monster. That's coming to my campaign.
and luckily it's easier.
Fuck it, I'll make it up when we play.
That's fair enough.
Did the Planescape get my thumbs up approval?
It's like this.
Honestly, Bacon, if you've never touched it before, if you weren't familiar with the product, I mean, I've got the unopened box set there. I've got the digital copy over here. It is a great starting point to get people involved in the setting. They did a good job giving a sigil. They did a decent job about the Outlands and the Gate Towns, but they gave the Dungeon Masters nothing for the Outer Planes or the Inner Planes whatsoever. It tells you every single one of them says, look up your entry in the Dungeon Master's Guide should you want to go to Arcadia. So you've still got the same 2 paragraphs that the game started with. They gave us nothing for the Outer Planes, so that's where my big gripe was. It's just enough to get a new Planescape DM into trouble. But the art was great. The presentation, the content that was there was great. I liked the Monster Book. Monster Book brought a lot. Adventure Book's garbage. Throw the fucking Adventure Book out. I mean, I'm sorry. It's dumb. It's dumb. Play Dead Gods or play Great Modron March. Don't waste your fucking time with whatever the Fortune's bullshit is. Bad adventure. Good source book. Great monster book. Horrible adventure.
I think the adventure could be good with some tweaks in it. I don't like the glitch
tweak
characters
so much. Just use tweak Modron March forward and get a better fucking adventure instead of doing all the fucking work to make that turd shine.
Fair.
You know?
The only issue with Modron March is that you would have to set. Well, I mean, I guess you could set it anytime, but yeah, you would have to, as DMs, you have to set it before current time in D&D because, your guy's already alive.
Could happen. Well, there is no guaranteed mention of that. I dug deep on the Planescape thing. Spoilers here, okay? Dead Gods and the Great Modron March work side and side. You don't have to use them both together, but they're stories that drive each other. The idea is Dead Gods. This is when Karansili first appeared for the Dark Elves. She shows up and slays Orcus to take his place as a power in the Abyss. Orcus at that point in time is considered a demon prince, but he's actually a god of undeath. So his corpse goes to float in the astral sea with all the rest of the corpses of the dead god, guarded by Anubis, I guess. But eventually, the Orcus, well, here's a cool thing, baby. So at this point, he's quote unquote dead, and Karansili goes as far as trying to magically remove his name from existence, from books, from anything, killing anyone that worshipped him. Because remember, Planescape is predicated on belief powers a deity. Belief empowers something into becoming a god. Belief is not worship. Belief is simple acknowledgement of his existence. So there's no way to wipe acknowledgement of Orcus's existence from the multiverse, so he's still floating around out here as a spark. Eventually, he gets enough. Yes, Tenebris. There you go, right there. He reforms as Tenebris. He sneaks into. He needs his wand. He needs the wand of Orcus back, or the wand of Orcus. He has it. He's not sure where Karansili left it, but he knows one person that probably does. Primus, the director of the machinery of Mechanus, the withholder of knowledge. There's an orrery that sits within the layer of Mechanus that is a model of the entire multiverse that you can stare into to see that point in time. Like, it's the biggest scrying device in existence. Okay, this is all canonical shit. Go look it up in the Planes of Law Book 5 box set from Planescape. Anyway, I'm not making shit up. I'm repeating. Sorry. Yeah. So Orcus goes here knowing that either Primus knows or Primus can help him find his wand. And before Primus says, right now you're right, Tenebris is Orcus right now. So he steps up and says, I need the rod. Primus says no. Orcus kills him. The way the Modron hierarchy works, no one is aware that Primus has been slain once Orcus can assimilate and impersonate the orders of Primus through the Modrons. Cool? So Orcus sends the Modron March out early to find his fucking wand. And that's the impetus for everything. So eventually, between the two campaigns, either if you're running Modron March, your party sometimes is intercepting Modrons, sometimes rescuing people from the March, sometimes fighting Modrons, sometimes interacting with them to learn the same secret. If you're running Dead Gods, then your party's trying to catch up at various points in the wake and the rubble of the march to try to find out why this is happening, what happened to Primus. You put the two together, War of the Machines, it's they're two separate campaign books. One is called Dead Gods, the other is called The Great Modron March. They're tied in directly together. You could run them together as a monstrous, horrifyingly huge 7-year-long campaign, or you could pick one and borrow from the other.
Yeah.
But eventually, yeah, the whole machinery, the Great Wheel, is threatened to the point where Sigil starts getting affected by this, and that was actually the impetus for the faction war within Sigil that formed the end of the 2nd edition, start of the 3rd edition cosmology.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Going with Planescape Rant.
Well,
Join me tomorrow on my 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. stream. That's Planescape Day. We'll get right back around into it.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was saying. There was that like with the way that story is set up, you would have to set it before current times in D&D.
No, that's my point. Is there's nothing in the 5th edition book that dates it or says
Oh.
anything about Orcus or other than Primus is the leader.
Right. But I mean,
So you could have Orcus show up the day before the campaign starts, and you're still good to go timeline wise.
Yeah. I mean,
there was one mention of the rumors of the last Modron March starting early,
yes.
But you can still hand wave that and have the second one starters. Yes. It was the March, Great Modron March. Remember reading all this on the. There you go, the wiki straight up. So either way, at the end of the day, you're DMs, and I doubt your players know a damn thing about what I just said to begin with.
Yeah, that's fair.
So make it your own.
That's fair.
No, or run Fortune's Wheel. Just be prepared to fluff it up really big.
David,
Man, all your party's got to do is walk up to a fucking door, hold up a little skull, and walk away and go to the next gate town. That's 75% of the fucking game, dude. That's bunk.
Yeah. But nah. But I mean, I guess this is kind of speaking to the accessibility of D&D.
D&D, right?
Where you can change these things. You don't
A
have
member.
to follow it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Member. I like members.
Yeah, so that's exactly right there. So that's why we're still playing D&D, because I can sit here and talk all this shit, and in my version, my players don't, experience what I want to experience. In Josh's version, they experience what they want to experience. As a player, you bring your own ideas for your character to the table and how you want to embody that person for the few hours of the day or the week that you're playing, and you're experiencing the world that way. So yeah.
Side question, real quick. Is it Mort or is his name Morte? Because it has the E at the end of it, so I don't know if it's supposed to be Mort or Morte. Because he's a skull, so I could see it being Morte.
I'd be willing to bet because 98.6% of the population says Mort.
Yeah,
it's going to be Morte. Yeah. You plebes, you can't pronounce anything. It's Morte. Fucking asshole.
Ashley was like,
it's
Morty.
Are you fucking serious? Since when, man? Bullshit.
Yeah. Ashley Slashy, she was talking about it's Morty. That's how you pronounce it.
Yep. There you go, right there, Bacon. D&D differs group to group, but the stories and experience that come forth from it last lifetimes.
Yes,
yeah, that's you're building moments and you're building memories together.
100%.
And they're not dependent on the last save file, and they're not dependent on how good did that raid go. Most of the time, if you ask a person, how did it, this is fucking a collaborative online video game, fucking World of Warcraft. How'd the raid go? Oh, it sucked. I only got one drop.
Yeah, but I mean,
you ask a group, how'd the adventure go? Oh, you remember when dumbass picked up that item and we told him not to, and it turned him into a fucking sheep, and then a wolf dropped out of the ceiling, and you're not creating memories like that in other mediums. You're not creating shared experiences.
Absolutely.
You're creating moments in history, even if they're fake history. The moment still happened with you engaged with other people.
People at my place of work make fun of me all the time about D&D stuff because I'll be talking to them about, like, oh, well, how's your session go? I'll be like, oh man, well, lately, all the time. And people are like, yeah, whatever, man.
Whatever,
not.
dude.
Yeah, it's not
You're my
real.
boss. I'm
Yeah, it's
just
not real.
entertaining you, bro. You know that really didn't happen, right? No one got their hand cut off, but we all shared that it was a shared moment of
Yeah.
experience together.
Oh.
And yeah, right there, you get to shape the story. For the most part, you get to shape the story. You know, if your DM's doing a good job of it, or that varies setting to setting, or adventure to adventure. The idea is there, yes, that it's a collaborative, shared story moving forward. But if you're just doing a one-off adventure, you're just trying to finish the adventure.
Yeah.
But you're making shared memories and shared moments. Now, when you're into campaigns, yeah, those are huge, massive, monster shared stories. Absolutely.
Um, so another side thing about the nerd shit. I have to interact with like one of our main customers a lot, and I found out that the two big guys that I always have to contact over there, one of them has me in his phone with the Dungeons and Dragons symbol is my picture in his phone.
Yeah, that's peak. That's peak right there, dude.
The other guy has me as Link in his phone, and I was like,
Yeah.
how do you guys like? Apparently, you know me.
And Bacon's kicking in. Who's to say that one shots can't be canon? They can certainly become canon. They can definitely lead into stories. One shots off to the side, yeah. So that's fair. That's fair. But I mean, for example, I've been dungeon mastering up at RPG, a place over in Carrollton. Hey, Holy, but thank you for joining us. Good to see you. First go at on-site face-to-face professional DMing. It's been fun. It's been a challenge. Oh, just chatting. Why are we playing D&D? What brings us to Dungeons and Dragons, or whatever fantasy versus other kinds of games? So yeah, just having a good time chatting. But I ran 8 sessions, and in every session, I've had to have someone new joining the game. Dude, you want to talk about a challenge trying to tell a constantly moving story that people are paying for, and having a new customer sit down and try to integrate them into the story in the game without spending an hour and a half. Oh, dude. It's hard. It's hard,
Oh, I
but I'm
bet.
glad. I'm grateful to have the opportunity because it's improving my skills. I've been so rigid, so used to being rigid and planned and prepared, and having a 16 tab spreadsheet. Um, Man, I could be able to shoot off the fly real quick. Cause, hi, how are y'all? Oh, we're here for your campaign tonight. Okay, have a seat. Fuck, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
No,
I
it's
give the
good.
guys a few items and one shots to stuff in their bag of holding. It's considered lost loot from before they got it. That's fair. Yeah, so the pickup games, one shot, one off, learn to play games, those are nothing. Consistent long campaigns that we're building. I'm running a Greyhawk campaign on Wednesday nights. Every other Wednesday up there, I'm running a Planescape every other Sunday afternoon. And yeah, we're trying to build stories and worlds. But yeah, having two, like last night, and it was a fucking awesome session. This is a tip of the hat to a lot of times. Last night was proof that sometimes the players bring way more to the table than the DM. I had 2 people who are out sick. 3 of us were planning. One of the guys is moving soon. So, we're just trying to send him out with a bang. And then plop, 2 new players. Never met him before, wasn't even expecting him to show up at the table. But they brought such positive energy and such great engagement they became a force multiplier for the table just in regards to their mood.
Yeah.
So man, it's sometimes, dude, most of the time it's not on us as a DM. If we got to give our players the room to bring that energy. And D&D allows that freedom to bring that energy.
Um,
Um,
on the one shot thing, anytime that okay, so in our Greyhawk campaign that we stream, the guy that plays Damien, any one shot that I do, he always brings the exact same character to it, and he's like, this is a story for him. So like each one shot takes place at a different point in time for this character for him. To the point that where if it takes place further in the timeline, he's actually taken items forward with him or not had them moved further back. So like the Tomb of Horrors thing, I gave him a goblin sidekick basically that's like a skeleton goblin, and he just keeps him in a bag of holding, and he just like will pull him out to like talk to him sometimes and put him back. Like that's all he does with him.
Holy Up is kicking in. He says, in answer to why do we play D&D? For me, it's simple. I try to make the reason of the world by playing D&D. Try to see a situation from the other perspective, understand why people would act vaintly or respectless. So D&D is an answer to the question I have. Social. It's a great way to examine the human condition.
Yeah.
It's a safe way for some people to explore stranger aspects or darker aspects. It's kind of, and you guys have heard me talk about that before. It's like a lot of the time with the D&D group, it's like I see the morality decay to the lowest common denominator in the group rather than the group expecting the piece of shit to get better. Everyone else gets dirty with them. And I've talked about that as well. That's a great point, Holy Up. It's an interesting way to learn about human nature, even though we're not still behaving. If anything, you're seeing the idealized version of somebody or the worst case version of somebody because they get to inhabit that fantasy. But what I try to remember, and I was really bad at it when I was a kid because I wasn't mature, didn't understand it. We still got to give people the safe place to be the asshole if they want to role play the asshole. We still got to give them the safe place to be the psychopath because that's part of their fantasy for D&D. Now, if it's disrupting the rest of the group, that's a group function, and that's a great thing about D&D. I don't have to petition petition a referee and take screenshots of all the bullshit to get this griefer kicked out. I can say that's enough. Click, disconnect. You're gone.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I know kind of went sideways there. Yeah, that's a good answer, man. An opportunity to why do we people behave the way they do? For me, it's gamesmanship, but it is. Okay, I've learned enough about each of my players to manipulate them into doing whatever I need when I need it done, if I need them to do it. But that's trampling on agency in a roundabout sort of way.
Jim uses this against me because he knows I always go left when given the option to go left or right.
I try so hard not to take advantage of that.
I know.
I try so hard not to. I'm going to put every shitty thing I can on the left, and I'm going to make every tunnel go up and keep curling in and dead end, and then they'll go back and take the next left, and it'll dead end. That's horrible to do to somebody, though. But yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I was going to say that actually comes from a gaming mentality, though, is because
yes.
Within games, most of the time, people are right-handed, so they typically go right whenever they get given the choice, and typically in games, they'll hide stuff off to the opposite direction where people would normally go. So it's just a thing over time of playing games. I will always go left because it's just like that's where the hidden shit is. That's where the good stuff is.
What I want you to do is go look at all of your dungeon keys.
My dungeon keys?
A map, a dungeon map key.
Yeah.
Anything prior to 3rd edition, wherever the entry point of the party was, the numbers of the keys go clockwise.
Yes.
The assumption, even in old dungeon design, is most people are going to go left. That's why room number 1 is on the left, so on and so forth. Wherever the entry point is, 90% of the time, this is like this big-ass giant open cavern that leads to another open cavern, which is a natural progression. The numbering changes. But 9 times out of 10, you look at a weird map, it's all... Shit, look at Tomb of Horrors. Look at the layout of Tomb of Horrors. Everything is in a clockwork fashion. Or clockwise, excuse me, naming. So there's science behind what you're saying as far as the left turn, because wherever you're standing, left turn is clockwise.
Yeah, that's fair.
Interesting point. But that's like Holy Up is saying, examination of the human condition can lead to a lot of stuff. Both mechanically, learning how to game the system. Otherwise,
yeah.
Oh shit.
And yeah, that's one of those things too, where, like you were saying, where we get to, do these aspects of ourselves that we wouldn't normally do, we're like within D&D as well, where we can be bombastic, where like because there's like look at like our good Sama's person, right? Very shy person has picked a very vocal and very odd character to play because that's not an aspect of herself that she normally would do, And so it gives you the freedom to do.
Love it. She is so good at that. Holy Up is kicking in a comment real quick. One of the interesting things I learned in D&D was how to choose my words to explain what I want to a person. I had one player who had no fun with the simple concept of failure.
We were just talking about that.
I was... spoilers if you're part of my Greyhawk online campaign. I don't think anyone is here other than me and you, so we're okay on my side. Me and you, okay. And we already had this discussion. You guys have, we've been running the Houses of Heartbeat, World of Greyhawk campaign for a long time. You guys hear us talk about a lot. It's kind of was at one point our baseline. for determining, better and worse. We've hit a rut in that thing. It's been 3 months ish of missed sessions, absences, and repeated failures. Whether it was bad luck in combat or whether they went the wrong way, and because I'm an asshole DM, I let people go the wrong way, and I'm okay with them doing that. But a lot of lost time to get up to this point, and they finally got to the BBEG, but they didn't get to them. They missed one illusionary wall on the south side of one of the tombs. They didn't even check the wall, didn't look at it, didn't do nothing. Hit another trap that jacked them up real quick, and at that point, they had to go. Yeah. The poison gas cloud on the false tomb door was enough to where, like, yeah, how you doing? If 11 rats bite me, I'm out. Yeah, we're not going to go fight a vampire lizard wizard with 11 hit points. We're out. Knowing that they've got to go a long way to take a long rest, they got to take a long way to go rest and recuperate. That's a fail. I'm sorry, it's a fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, my concern as a dungeon master is they still have 3 more events as part of this section of the campaign. One of them is easier than what they just experienced. 2 of them on paper are harder. So I've been struggling with, do I make everything easier to give the group now that this is their first taste of 1st edition DM Geezer Jim translating for 5th edition, and it was sour, So do I go ahead and nerf myself back to Lost Mines of Phandelver levels of difficulty because that's what people understand in 5e, and that's not fun for my players because they expect something more? Or, so that's kind of a balance point that I've had to get to there because the concept of failure. Some of the group mates may not respond very well to the next 2 or the next 3 steps potentially being failures. And I hate to sound like a dick, based on the statistical analysis and what we did, they're going to fail 2 of the next 3 steps.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to happen. They may have been TPK out. So knowing this as a DM, what is my obligation? And this is an honest, open question, because I put the campaign on pause for a couple weeks so I could figure this out. Do I have the obligation to the group to reduce the difficulty and reduce the length and increase the access to these last 3 set pieces to allow them to finish the quest? Or do I have their employer, Bigby, roll in and say, y'all gonna die, I'll take care of it from here? I'm leaning towards the latter. I'm leaning towards the latter because I want to preserve what I built with the Starcarens and keep the consistency in the world. But I know if I present it that way, that's basically Bigby saying, you're fired.
Yeah.
Go on with yourselves. Give me your charter. Thanks for your service. I'll take it from here. Which is truly what that section of the thing is. Now, what my players are not aware of is this section of the campaign is Chapter 2, Chapter 3, the Prelude. Whatever happens here doesn't affect the BBEG.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm kind of worried that if I let them fail out here after as much time as we spent to get to this point, how does that affect group morale? How does that affect group pace? So the other thing I'm leaning towards is steering them entirely away from this, literally saying Bigby says, I'll take care of this, but I have something more important for you.
Yeah.
So it's going to be like what you said there, Holy Up. It's going to be in the delivery. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I was gonna say this. Let's, because every story is built upon this. Well, every fantasy story at least is built upon this. Is the hero's journey, right? And it's not part of the hero's journey to fail. Like, failure is part of the cycle of the hero's journey. Like that is 100% part of it. So like I think it's perfectly fine for us to fail. But that being said, I agree that we have people in our party that if you come to them and be like, you failed, they're going to be in a pissy mood for the rest of the fucking campaign.
Well, and at the same time, we gotta be a little bit honest here. You guys didn't succeed in the first Starcaren.
No, it got dropped on us.
I'm sorry.
It got dropped on us.
It got dropped on you, and that was a little bit of story finagling. It is what it is, but so we'll call that a draw.
Yeah.
You might have been able to do it under better circumstances.
Yeah,
you lost the mummy cave.
Another person come in, so
yeah. You lost the little mummy tomb. That was just a one-off bullshit fight. You lost the town of Fork.
Yeah.
That was a roleplay situation. You lost the town of Airy Bend almost if I wouldn't have had a captain come in and kiss y'all's ass. There hadn't been many actual wins. So that's where my concern is that this entire thing, if we look back at it and say, what were we supposed to do? What did we actually do? And what did the DM do through Fiat? What's the difference?
Yeah.
Between, you know, I mean,
I mean, you're not wrong, but I mean, like that's what I would expect at this point in time in our
Yeah.
campaign, is for us to constantly fail at shit. We're not. None of us are heroes. Not a fucking one of us. Not a one of us. No matter how much
Yeah,
we
that's
try to
fair.
play into it, none of us have gotten to that point where we're like, no, we're the heroes. We have to take care of this. Not a one of us. This
That's
is
true.
we're getting paid for this. This is I'm going with my family. This, you know, this is I
Yeah.
got forced into it. Just got picked up. Like that's what, like, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, the wizard. I'm not even supposed to be here. You should like Dante the whole time. I ain't even supposed to be at work today, man.
Be here today.
I ain't even supposed to be here. For the
At the
record,
same time,
I'm one step short of being kidnapped. You know, that's kind of how she made it sound.
yeah.
You know, for the record, before we start this dialogue, that's them talking. I'm just here because they kind of picked me up, and I guess I don't have the capability to turn 90 degrees and walk the other way, so I'll stay here with them. You know, which was fun, but that causes problems in your group when one of your group players is straight up saying, "I'm not part of this group. I'm just here."
Yeah.
You know, so that's the kind of possible dynamics that we got to worry about. It doesn't matter though. I mean. So, you know, the switch here is because we're playing D&D, because I get to build out this adventure, I have a lot of room to get creative and get inventive. So rather than saying, you know, Bigby going, hey, y'all are fired, Bigby can say, okay, man, good work. The last Karen was activated. We're not sure who or how, but I have a couple of my apprentices isolating the now accessible 6th Karen. I'll take it from here because I have something more important than I need you to do. And there's a non-player character that they I'm assuming you guys got along with her.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, yeah. Yuliak, the crazy necromancer, April Ludgate possessed with the shadow demon, who's now been hyper freaking powered with all of the Starkaren energy, pumping into this necrotic cyst that is the remains of Juiblix, the demon lord. Yes, I went crazy with her.
I love her. She's awesome. She's such a good.
So yeah. So this girl who's been kind of on her own, rejected by society, studying the necromantic arts in an abandoned corpse, basically, is being supercharged by all of the energy from the activating Starkarens. So basically, she's, you know, Bigby's now looking at it. She's a ticking time bomb. If I go into the 6 and do what I need to do, what the F's going to happen with her? So then I have to really, so I'm, rather than saying, you're fired, go find your own fun, I'm saying, hey, this can wait. I got some other schmucks that can take care of this. I really need you guys to do that. So we redirect the attention. It's no longer a failure because, oh shit, this is important.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just how you present the message.
Yeah. It's just
You
a
know?
redirection and not a failure. Yeah.
Yeah. Give me your raggedy ass toy doggy because I got a new one here. The bard learns he doesn't need to charm the dragon to rescue the party, and he learns the dragon is charmed and is shamed and doesn't let them go, or I might have misread that. Charmed and won't let them go. Okay, just Holy Up was kicking in a comment. So yeah, but that's the freedom and flexibility we have with a game like D&D or Pathfinder or any RPG, man. You know, on a you know, I always talk about, you know, think tactically but plan strategically. You know, knowing where we're at right now sucks. Knowing where we've been mired for a little while is getting frustrating, getting old. But if I keep focused on here, it's not going to change. It's not magically going to get more successful unless I really reduce the difficulty of the encounters. And then my players are going to notice the appreciable drop. And then they're going to potentially feel patronized. Yeah. You know? We're level 9 and this is the easiest we've ever... This is bullshit. You ain't even trying. You know?
Yeah, we're not 9 yet.
Huh?
Because we're not 9 yet.
Yeah.
Still 8.
So, yes, but you know, point being, you know, it's not a big deal to do. But you have the freedom for that in this game, man. You get to build your own stories out. They could pick up and go say, fuck you, Bigby. This is bullshit, man. I hear Keolin's nice this time of year. I hear the town of Saltmarsh is giving out boats. We're going to go to Hardby. And I'm like, okay, shit. So I get to prep it up again. But that's the great thing about D&D, man. Yeah. You know, and they have the freedom in this world to do that. and I have the opportunity to to exercise the creativity to accommodate that.
Right. And yeah, and exactly. That's like the beauty of it is that we're not locked into that one thing, you know? Like you can't do that in a lot of other, settings, a lot of other games. You can't just go, I don't want to do this anymore, and then just, and that thing still have repercussions somewhere along the lines, even though you dropped it. Like if nobody else is dealing with the Star Karens, 100% the fucking Doom Grinders getting turned on. They're getting a fucking super laser and shit's going down, Like, like
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
The Duergar will arm the Doom Grinder with the yeah, aptly named. It's all canonical, by the way. Star Karen's Doom Grinder, one of the classic. There's 3 of them. Star Karen's Doom Grinder, Crypt of Lysandra the Mad, which then kicked people off into the ruins of Castle Greyhawk.
Yeah.
The Crypt of Lysandra the Mad's a stupid ass one with all the fucking algebra puzzles that I'll never ever ever run. It hurts my brain to look. Embarrassing. That was just someone showing off how fucking smart they were because they wrote it before Google existed.
A man
Okay?
died
That's
and he left.
I remember.
He left his gold
Homie,
to his daughters, and Stephanie gets 13 times what Georgia gets, but Georgia does not get less than what like Jesus. How much gold does this person get? It's just like, fuck, I don't know.
The characters just raise their hand. Can we just roll for initiative now? Can we just hit them? Let's just hit them. Let's just kill
punch them and take the gold for ourselves. Look, if you guys can't decide, we'll take it.
And that I still say, dude, that module was either one of the smartest dudes ever, or some brother spent a long time in the library pulling some puzzles, dude. Because that was pre-Google. Homie wouldn't be able to look up all that shit online, man.
You have no idea how often I see like
how believable is your BBEG? He uses math. Straight up in this puzzle, dude.
I see things all the time that are like kindergarten puzzles for my D&D group because like it's true. Like I don't know what it is. Like each person individually probably could figure these things out, but you get them into a group together, and suddenly they have one fucking brain cell between the entire group, and nobody can figure anything out.
That interesting, true.
Yeah.
I mean, I know every single one of you guys. Yeah. Why?
I don't know what it is.
This is where inquiring minds as a DM want to know why.
Why you dumb?
Why you dumb? And honest, I actually did on Wednesday while I was doing my mapping thing on my Wednesday Twitch. I pulled up that map, and I was really worried after Tuesday night. Did I fuck that up?
No, absolutely not.
So yeah, I ran everything through, and they're like, man, just you got to talk. Sometimes adrenaline, sometimes they overread. And one of the guys was even like, if I would have spent 10 minutes knocking on every wall in a room for there to be nothing, I don't think I would have checked the walls in the next room. Oh, that's fair, I guess.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, to be fair, like 100%, we knew that this guy was here. I even scratched off part of the fresco, knowing that it was a fake wall. If nothing else, I should have been like, hey, let's see if any of these walls are hollow, Like that is 100%. I will take full responsibility for that one. Never checking anything.
But there was 4 other people there that were standing there picking their noses, man.
I mean, I know, and that's what.
Well, not actually, but character-wise.
Yeah. I kept trying to.
They were trying to steal. They were worried about. They were more concerned with busting the chest of seashells that they found. Let's figure out how to get back into Fork, the town that we've been banned from, because maybe the guy at the museum that we should have been going to learn everything that we should have known before we came out here will buy these seashells from us.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. But it's okay.
Well, no good he couldn't now either. He'd have to polymorph himself.
It doesn't matter.
Never mind.
And that's the other thing about shifting, you guys. We get to put the whole Fork debacle in the sales. I don't have to worry about stalking you with assassins moving forward. I don't have to accidentally, kill one of y'all because you're defending him because he's got assassins coming from him.
Look,
so there's a lot of stuff that we can kind of.
Look, Big B, we're gonna do this for you, but we need a noble title after this so that we can do what we want. It'd never go down.
Oh yeah. Do what?
It'd never go down like that. He'd be like,
a noble title.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. He'll tell you there's this place called Rayneld up in the Shieldlands. I'll give you rights over that if you can take it over.
Oh man. Maybe.
That's the other reason why I want to bump you guys up there. Okay?
Yes.
You're in a fucking no man's land of Aya's pushed down. He destroyed all of the Horn lands. The Shield lands was basically it was called the Holy Realm of the Shield lands back in 576 pre-war. It was a free state that fought for their freedom from Furiandi, who's a bunch of good guys. So Shield lands are pretty badass dudes. And this was your traditional Knights of the Round Table type thing, where every one of the knights held an equal seating, and each of them had their own, just a perfect model, even on the map, to the scale of a feudal system society, right?
Oh yeah.
So Ayaz comes in here, rolls hard, rolls heavy, stomps this shit down, and then gifts all of these perfectly laid out little fiefdoms to his favorite officers. This is where you guys are headed.
I'm into this.
Yeah, you ain't got to worry about piss off everyone. You guys get to play murder hobo psychopaths, and you're doing it in the name of good.
It's not even that.
Plus, you have Castle Muktos there. You have White Plume Mountain right there. From White Plume Mountain, you're about a 4-day walk away from the Rift, the gigantic canyon with Dragotha's Lair, Wormcrawl Fissure, and Thulden near there. If you go north a little bit, you get to Darkpool. You can take the Chama Third's Lair and go to visit Hell from a Green Dragon's house if you want. All kinds of crazy shit up there. Never mind that you're pissing in Ayaz's background yard the whole time, just giving me more and more reasons to get the BBEG in play.
Oh man. But no, I can really see us walking up there and be like, hey, this is a region that we can take over. It's completely sanctioned, and let's do that. 100%. Then we could build our zoo that everybody's so interested in building up. Like, yeah, take a whole life and build it into a zoo.
And honestly, that's under the other reason I want to shift us up there sooner rather than later is, number one, we get a fresh start. Number two, yes, you can have some land and some stuff to do your thing, and you can actually, over the course of the campaign, either lose it all to a monstrous attack by a bunch of demons, or help regrow this fallen land.
Yeah.
Based on what y'all do, So I think it's a bigger move. We're getting out of the realm of Greyhawk, not the principality of Greyhawk.
Yeah.
The city's still there. The quests are still there. Instead of trying to go from here to there, you go from there to here. Not a big deal. I think y'all have more fun with it, honestly.
We're 100% putting Lasco in charge
of the city.
Yes.
Mayor Lasco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a rich
by
the time he gets there too.
So you guys go ahead and take Iliac, and I'm sorry.
I can't believe Andrew was mad because I wanted to give Lasco his money. We've been doing it the whole campaign.
Like y'all fucking earned it. It.
I agree, but I wanted to give Lasco his money. Like, 100%. We've done it the whole campaign. He's been with us the whole time. He's been a good dude. We've been taking care of him. He deserves his money. He's been protecting all of our shit.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, whatever.
I'm hoping Terrace is keeping track of his coin purse, because I think she is the one that has it.
If you're asking her to, I don't know, man.
Because I think we decided that she was the only one that was
trustworthy enough to not spend his money.
Yes, I think is what it was.
I thought y'all were keeping all of his money in your crate of melted jewelry that you stole from the family that died on the barn in the barn fire. They're not heroes. No, they're not.
We're not.
They're still carrying a clump of metal that's got some jewelry embedded in it from like the 6th session.
Just because I promised I was going to bring back some weird metal to a guy. He didn't specify. Fair. He just said weird metal. That's a weird metal, man.
There's a tooth in here. What the hell? It's gonna be like that scene out of Joe Dirt. No, this is what we call a Boeing bomb. This is poopy, sir.
It's peanut right there. It's a space peanut.
It's a space peanut. Oh shit. Hell yeah, I love that movie. But yeah, why D&D? Why any of the fantasy stuff? Ultimately, I think it gives us the space to do what we want because we have magic. At the end of the day, we have magic. We can make anything work within with enough magic. There's nothing I could do to make a 25mm round penetrate the front side of a T-90 tank in Twilight 2000. No matter what, it wasn't going to happen. I couldn't magic that bullet through there. Cyberpunk 2020, there's no magical formula that keeps you from going cyber psycho when you strap that last fucking rocket launcher onto your 5th finger on your left hand. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do in D&D with magic. Hey, John, good to see you. Dark Sun is low magic. Does that matter? Not at all. Not at all. We're just talking about why why do we choose D&D?
Yeah.
As our RPG. And Dark Sun's a perfect example of it. Low magic. You can always take stuff down. You can always add it back. The sheer existence of magic or its lack thereof for Dark Sun is a perfect example of D&D with very, very little magic. Let's be honest, though, it was replaced with psionics, and half the people have psionics, so it's still kind of magic.
Yeah.
But,
Isn't that the one where
argument notwithstanding.
there's you can't even have wizards or anything? Like there's no magic
Yeah.
users in it? Okay,
Yeah.
I thought so.
There's a little bit more psionics, but it's still, even if you add the psionics and combine it with the magic, you're still sitting about 5%, maybe 10% of any other setting.
Yeah.
If you treat psionics as magic. So it's very, very low magic. Absolutely good point. But and D&D works for it, and it works for D&D. That's kind of the, appreciate you jumping in the chat. But yeah, that's kind of what, we're just kicking back and forth. How many of us played D&D because it was just our first game? How many of us play Pathfinder because it was our first game? Hey, Saf, it's good to see you here. Why D&D? Because the lack of D&D is everything minus D&D. Everything is D&D plus the lack of D&D. Oh, shit. Nothing is D&D minus D&D or lack there. You read the rest of it on your side.
Or lack of D&D minus lack of D&D, assuming lack of D&D is greater than D&D, then D&D minus lack of D&D is negative. However, Wizard of the Coast sucks, so 2 negatives makes a positive. Conclusion, D&D positively good. Stay hydrated. Check your vents.
Thanks for joining the conversation, man. Yeah. Good to see you, bud. Good to see you. That's awesome. But yeah, and I know you guys kind of jumped in. John, we were talking earlier about, shit, I've played D&D, Twilight 2000, dipped my toe in GURPS. I forgot we had Marvel Superhero back in the day from TSR. We had Champions, which was the off-brand. It wasn't even DC, it was the off-brand. We've had the whole plethora of RPGs. I love a lot of them, but I always end up falling back into D&D because, kind of like what a lot of us were saying earlier, it just gives you the flexibility and creativity. And we kind of landed on what lets all of that happen. I think it's because magic.
Yeah.
We get to have talking trees. We get to have an elemental plane of fire that there's one little pocket where the city's made of brass and magically protected from the inferno of 1,000 suns that pure elemental fire is because of magic. Or in Dark Sun's case, you motherfuckers gonna scramble because you ain't got no magic to come summon up some water, and you stuck in the desert that got plants that got spines that go 50 feet up into the plants of Dark Sun just ook me out, dude. A fucking cactus is gonna shoot spines at you, dig into your arm, and drag you towards it so it can impale you onto the cactus and suck all the blood out of you. That's a spooky ass monster, man.
That's badass. That's how it's getting its penetration. That's badass. I dig that. Yeah. That's really cool.
D&D is because you prefer fantasy to sci-fi. If you want sci-fi, this is the wrong stuff. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, even as someone who's played sci-fi, Twilight 2000, Traveler,
equivalent though.
I'm not really.
I mean, 40K, I guess technically, but that's a battle simulator. It's not like the same thing.
The most detailed system, in my opinion, that was made for sci-fi RPG was Traveler, and you had to have a God blessed science degree to figure out how to fuel your ship and how much stuff to do to go to this and that. It was a heavy fucking game. Now you have some flexibility, but that's what we always talk about with science fiction versus fantasy. That's why there's a discernment, because science fiction always has to go to the line that science allows.
Yeah.
Because if it crosses that line, that's magic. You may as well just go play Tolkien at that point. So I think that's why sci-fi kind of stops a little bit short in the fantasy /art tabletop genre, because you're still limited by the scene or the science.
Hey man, my favorite Star Trek is Next Generation. I've seen Q. That motherfucker's an alien. He's not magic. I don't give a fuck what you say.
Okay. John's kicking in saying a guy at our table wants us to try Shadowrun, but have no clue how much of a diversion it is. How do you destroy a terrorist? First, open a portal under it. A second, connect that portal to an elemental flare. A terrorist skew. Okay, close the portal. Yeah. How do you? If you could open a big enough portal to the plane of fire, hypothetically, might work.
Yeah.
Homie's going to take way more damage. He's going to regenerate. And Saf is kicking it. It's 5e because very easy to introduce someone new. Yeah, absolutely. And we're not even talking additions, but yeah, 5e is kind of the cream of the crop right there. John, we actually chatted about Shadowrun about 20, maybe 30 minutes ago. I can't speak on it at all because I ignored it because it made me mad because GDW put their resources into that instead of Twilight 2000 was a 19-year-old, so I said fuck them. I can't speak objectively on it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say it sucks or it's good. I have truly no knowledge on the game because I avoided it like the plague when it came out.
Yeah. we're in agreement where like the concept is cool, but neither one of us knows enough about it to talk about it. I've
Yeah.
never heard great things about it though. Like to be honest, I've always heard that it's a very like clumsy, like the system itself is like very cumbersome and clumsy. But I really have no clue. I've never looked at it
Yeah.
to be able to judge it.
I'm not going to comment other than yes, I agree with Josh. The concept is really neat. Fantasy meets sci-fi, for all intended purposes. Like the Underworld series. That son of a bitch is everyone likes those movies. Ooh, shit.
But yeah, no, it is though, where it's like, oh well, magic used to exist and then it disappeared, and then one day something happened and it reawakened it, and some people became elves all of a sudden, and some people became orcs all of a sudden, some people became dwarves all of a sudden. So it's a fun concept. It's like there's like CEOs that are companies that are being ran by these like elf people now. It's cool. Yeah, I dig it.
Mm-hmm. A house, but the oven is a portal to hell. The fridge is a portal to the plane of the air. The TV is a portal that changes from the astral plane, material plane, or underdark. Your bedroom is to the heavens. Your dungeon is in the elemental plane of fire. Yeah, sounds like Baba Yaga's hut.
I was about to say that's exactly
S5
what it sounds like.
Of Baba Yaga. You'll get a 64 room thing that'll hit all those beats for you there, Saf.
Something that I've always
crazy ass.
Okay, so I've spoke to Jim about this series a few times. There's a series that's called Goblin Slayer, very adult. So if you're not old enough, don't watch it. I will say that it's a very adult series, but it is very inspired by D&D. But one of the things that the main the title character, the Goblin Slayer, does is he has a scroll where he took one portion of it and he put it under the ocean, and it's a teleportation scroll. So all he does is throw it at people, and it'll fucking open up and just water at people. And I'm like, that's such a good idea. I want to do that now.
Holy Epic kicks in and says Goblin Slayer is a D&D story.
Absolutely. It 100% is. Oh, it's so good. He's like, it even goes into like, oh, I use short swords because I fight goblins and they're typically in smaller areas. And if you use a big sword, you're going to hit the walls. Like, he goes into good details about like why he fights the way that he does and all kinds of shit. It's a really cool series. I dig it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's another plus of D&D/fantasy, I think we landed on why D&D. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but probably because that's the first one you really played and invested in.
I mean, honestly, yeah. Like even
And
before,
oversimplification,
yeah, but even before, because I know a lot of people are coming to D&D now because of stuff like Stranger Things, where like D&D has come back into the zeitgeist because of a lot of series that are talking about it. But like even before any of that stuff, when I was in high school, like D&D was the one that I knew. Like that's the one that everybody talks about. It's Microsoft, it's Apple. Like you just know the name, and that's why you go with it. Like Linux might be a better system, but none of us fucking own a Linux system.
Yeah, I had a friend in high school. He swore by Stormbringer. He wouldn't play D&D with us. He would not play D&D. If you guys want to play Stormbringer, you can play with me, but I'm not going to play at your D&D. So he sat out a lot of games.
Interesting.
Because all the rest of us had D&D shit. He had Stormbringer, and and I'm not going to argue. Even then, it's like it's such a better game. It's got hit location damage and blah. I don't fuck that, dude. Let's just roll some dice, have some fun, man. If we want to do that, but you won't play Twilight 2000 with me because you got to pay attention to ballistics. Whatever, go cry. Because he was married to that story of the Stormbringer. The system was shit, but he loved the story and the idea of that setting so much that he wasn't even willing to look at other systems. But I bet you there's been a lot of us D&D folk that have done the same thing. Have you ever looked at Pathfinder stuff? I steal Pathfinder stuff. Absolutely steal that shit, man. Kobold Press stuff, Frog God game stuff. I'm not above stealing other shit. Not at all, man.
You have no idea how much I want to steal. There's two classes that I've always wanted to steal from Pathfinder, which are the I guess technically we have it now, the Alchemist class, which exists now in D&D. But the Gunslinger, because I've always wanted to be a gunslinger that fires vials at people. I think that'd be really fun. Like, I don't want guns in D&D, but I just want to be able to shoot vials at people because I think that's a cool concept to be just this guy's like,
Oh, I want to shoot a
boom.
chemical grenade launcher. I don't want a black powder pistol, DM. You're no. I just want a fucking multi-shot grenade launcher that'll shoot bioweapons. I'm not asking for
That's
much.
fair.
You're
That's
being a dick.
That's fair.
Yeah, John Kicks it says targeting heads, arms, or legs would be nice, but not in 5e. Saf is following up.
I've never
Trying to run a
seen-
glitch X fantasy campaign once I graduate. A massive, wonderful fantasy adventure where the world is slowly falling apart into a glitchy, arcanic mess. The first 3 levels normal, next level weird sense of deja vu. Where'd the city go? The sun is orange. The sheep are walking on air. What the holy crap? Yeah, so on and so forth. Just so much stuff changing in the universe piece by piece. Holy Epis says I have more Pathfinder books than D&D books. Yeah. Do you have a preference on either system? I bet you, Holy, you're probably able to play them both and enjoy them both, right? Which then puts us into same thing. It's just the fantasy, the joy of being able to build what we want on a moment's notice because of magic.
But and again,
that's how I feel about it.
I've said this before. I don't think that Pathfinder would have ever gotten big if it wasn't for D&D 4.0. If it wasn't for D&D, I don't think Pathfinder would exist.
That's fair. Hey, John, yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for dropping in. Good to see you. Enjoy your dinner, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate your time. Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you. I 3.5 was a better system than 4, but the problem is the World of Darkness system is the best. Okay, if it comes down to systems, I think the World of Darkness system is the best. Is it a fantasy based, high tech, low tech? And Sas following up saying, turns out the BBEG of his glitch world is an eldritch god that created the world for mere entertainment, and the party has the chosen one trope where they all got the flaw in their code to be able to travel through the glitches, and allows him to meta some stuff. Yeah, it's some fun story building there.
It's loosely sounds like Future Diary, just without Future Diaries is kind of what it sounds like to me. In that series, the god of the universe gets bored of running it, so he gives a bunch of people the ability to see the future, basically. And whoever they makes them battle royale. Whoever wins gets to be the next god because he's just tired of it.
Yeah.
Sounds
interesting though. Yeah, that's cool. But and that's the love of the role play, the love of the fantasy universe. It gives us a little bit more flexibility. Said, make no bones, man. I am dying to run some Cyberpunk 2020. I've given up on Twilight 2000. It is what it is. I think there might be a few other people out there, but yeah, we're Cyberpunk 20. Cyberpunk is a recognized property that people love the video game for, love the concepts of it, but getting people to want to actually play the TTRPG, it's a challenge. Is it learning a new system? Is it the fact that I don't get to use magic? I don't know. I don't know what the there's the Cyberpunk anime series has done better than any fucking D&D series in the history of ever. The video game, I guess Baldur's Gate is caught up with it.
Yeah, the movie did pretty well. Yeah.
Dark fantasy in the current world, simple that world rules, fairies, vampires are real and hide from humans to survive. You're the monster. World of Darkness system. Okay, that reminds me of the Vampire Masquerade type system.
Sounds like Masquerade to me. Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah. D&D campaign, not in fantasy, not cyberpunk, not steampunk, but instead caveman era. Dark Sun.
So
close to it, yeah.
I really dig the idea for vampires behind within the Masquerade, which is like when you're turned, like that's where you're stuck basically. So like if you were turned in the 90s, like you only understand shit from the 90s. You can't adapt new tech because your brain can't comprehend it anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's really kind of a cool concept where it's like, oh, you got turned in the 1800s. Well, you don't know how to drive a car and never will.
Yeah,
like stuff like that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Holyoke is saying, that's the setting that Vampire's part of.
Okay, cool.
The system setting. I'm sorry, World of Darkness system, Vampire Masquerade setting. I got you there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I like some of the stuff.
I've actually looked at I think it's 4th edition for Vampire Masquerade is out now. I've thought about it a few times.
Saf is saying D&D campaign in Caveman or Bronze Age. There's already some stuff for Bronze Age if you want to go there. Industrial Revolution. Go play in Eberron.
I mean, honestly, the only thing you'd really have to change for D&D if you went into like caveman ages is you just can't use metal weapons. everybody everybody becomes a druid basically. You know?
Yeah, but that's the cool thing, though. I mean, and we're not trying to do anything but say, hey, you're 100% right. Every one of those concepts can be fully addressed in D&D. Some of them already been addressed in published stuff.
Yeah.
Other things, it's we know enough about our real world history to be able to say, okay, this wouldn't be there in a caveman era, so I'm not going to let them have halberds. No, they know chainmail off the list. Well, I guess we all have hide armor, club. I'll give them a flint dagger, I guess, maybe, something like that, so you can really limit it. You're still playing D&D, you're still telling stories, you're just slightly altering what you're using,
Obsidian still
Oops,
exists.
all barbarians.
Oops, all barbarians. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really do think it comes down to just the magic system in and of itself, and the freedom of D&D is why people pick it more than anything else.
Yeah.
Like their magic system is easy to grasp, but there's nothing that's overly complicated or needs too much. There's some things
Anymore.
I was about yeah, okay, yeah. I was gonna say there's certain things that still need like arbitration, but for the most part they've worked it out to where it's like this is how it works. That's all you can do with it, kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. The all barbarian group staff says, you notice the door is slightly ajar, says the DM. What would you like to do?
Doors are
bunga bunga krunga. Understood. Rolled stealth check.
That's good. That's good.
Awesome.
So I used to have a really old Chihuahua. This is just side story stuff. I used to have this really old Chihuahua. She was given to me at 9 years old. I had her for another 9 years. Old ass Chihuahua. Like all of her teeth had fallen out and stuff like that. I used to joke all the time, like, "Oh, she's been alive forever." Her first owners, Og and Tog, gave her a rock for her 800th birthday. Like I always used to say shit like that about her.
Yeah. But yeah, man. I mean, it's all good stuff. Played the song Gitchy Gitchy Goo in Cavemanese. Oh, that would be horrifying. Would you have a bard? What would the bard play? I guess bones, skulls. Carries around 2 femur bones and 4 skulls of different sizes and rocks out, man.
Turtle shells, man.
Turtle shells. There you go. Rib cage for a xylophone. Goes straight up Flintstone. See, now we're in trouble, Saf. You got me thinking Stone Age, and now I'm straight up building a fucking Flintstones themed campaign in my brain right now, man. Straight up.
Into that. Lots
of animal handling going on in the Flintstone world. Let me tell you something.
I just now noticed that both the Flintstones and the Jetsons end with like the main character Fred or George getting locked out of their house. I just now realized that.
Lord have mercy. One of them he's putting out the cat, the other one he's walking up. There you go, right? Barbarian fails the sanity check. The barbarian now has a pet stone called Geodude. In combat, he tries to toss his pet rocket at enemies and screams, "Geodude, use tackle!"
I mean, that
campaign where fire was first discovered.
Oh man,
interesting.
Look, I'm thinking about Doctor Who now because the very first Doctor Who story ever is him going back to caveman time and them trying to discover fire. Like that's 100% what's going on in the very first Doctor Who story of all time. That's what it is.
Interesting. Bungo bungo. There you go. Right, no kidding, man. So, yeah, all fun ideas. Whether you turn them into full blown campaigns, adventures, or one shots. See, this is I think where we end up landing on D&D because every silly idea, every wonderful idea, every trippy idea, every creepy idea that you've kicked out here, we could all sit down and totally figure out how to set up a campaign within the 5th edition rule system based on that and have it being a viable, enjoyable adventure.
Yeah.
I couldn't use any of that shit that we've been talking about in Cyberpunk 2020. Twilight 2000, if you're not in Eastern Europe, you're not playing the game. Well, that's not true. There was Returning to America, but okay, so if you're not sitting in a fucking nuclear irradiated New York, you're still not playing the game. It was very limited in scope. But yeah, the whole D&D campaign, but everyone's a beholder. You'd have to use old school because new school beholders are psycho paranoid. They kill each other on sight, and you'd only have one player that continues going. Use 2nd edition beholders where they still have a hive mother and a hive mind. Absolutely, that could be an entertaining thing. And again, we could find the rule mechanics to make it work within D&D.
I so badly want you to run beholders and Illithids joined together.
Oh, the layers of Ilsensine and Jizemnid up
Yeah,
on the outer planes, up on the outlands.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the real fucking universe ending thing to happen. That's
yeah,
horrifying.
yeah, man. You were like, could you imagine a crossbreed? It's like, fuck crossbreeding. Illithid fucking riding in on top,
Yeah.
Shit, Illithid. Remember, guys, Illithid abilities are psionic.
Not magic.
Anti-magic ray doesn't affect psionic, so your Illithids can stand there, do all of their cool shit in the front of the plain eye, big ass view of Mr. Beholder, while Mr. Beholder's eyeballs are blasting everywhere else around him. Yeah, a mind flare and a Beholder working together.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a tough fight, man. Much less an infinite army of them from the
both of them.
Outlands.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, that's the multiverse ending thing right there. If they decided to team up,
Right?
gods would have to
who
get
cares?
involved.
Right? Yeah, it's like it's all fun and games with the blood war going on, but once the Illithid and the Beholder start cooperating, the whole universe pauses. Fun stuff that we can play around with in D&D that doesn't
absolutely.
work in other stuff, man. I think we've answered our own question
I think
multiple
we have,
times.
yeah.
So we can just bullshit now. Let's
Yeah.
got a little while just to hang out and bullshit. I do got to do a hard stop at 6, if not sooner, just for a little bit because I got to go get some food cooking. But unfortunately, we don't have Shadows of Barovia tonight. Two of our players are out of town. Happy birthday, by the way. Oh, we're gonna send homie a happy birthday.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's like now.
That's right. Today's his birthday. I forgot. Yeah.
Cthulhu X, good to see you in here. Your multiverse makes the Blood War look like a minor skirmish. There you go. Hell yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Use the dream spells on the Beholder and then make them dream of piles of gold. That's hardcore, man. But good times, dude.
Big fan.
Oh man. Beholders, shit.
I love beholders. Like, they're such a weird thing. I like them.
I don't like making people fight beholders. I think, number one, they've got to be so high level where it's a trivial fight to have a chance. Beholder is either you're dead or it's trivial. There's no, ooh, man, that was a close one. There's no middle ground there.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, I mean, no, because I was going to say depends on who you're fighting with. But I was going to say, but the people who are just meleeing aren't going to have the ability to get him when he flies away. Yeah, 100%. Even with bows and arrows, like you're very limited. That's fair.
Yeah. So that's like I said. So it's a challenging. There's no way for it to be in my opinion, if you're fighting a Beholder intelligently, there's no challenge. It's either your group is dead or the group party is so big and badass that deflect, immune, resist, kill, shoot, dead, and then so that's where they find a tough gap to drop into.
What do beholders fall into? Are they aberration? Or are they what are they?
Aberrational.
They're aberration.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
How would, for instance, like an arrow of aberration killer, like how would that work?
It would do additional damage if it hit it.
Okay, so I wasn't sure if like his like non-magic stuff would like turn it off and it would just become a normal arrow or not. That's what I was wondering.
You could argue that if you're a Pecker DM and if you shot at it from the front of it, it's just a normal arrow because all of your stuff is deactivated at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
I got one comment real quick. Cthulhu's kicking in. I like to think of the multiverse as just a series of spheres.
It's a series
within each other. Sphere is a series of spheres, just as the inner plane floats within the astral, so the entire great wheel float within the far realm. One of the things might float within it. Yeah, that's the easiest way to describe it. A lot of the Planescape stuff really supports that. The new stuff doesn't counter it. The old stuff really enhances it. But yeah, that's the best way to look at the multiverse. But I think this is one thing y'all got to remember, though. Good to see you guys dropping in. Lot of people. It's been a while since I've seen a few of you guys. Thank you so much for dropping in, by the way. But I think the 5th edition multiverse is steering a little bit more towards we're going to have access to multiple versions of our worlds, not so much we're not looking at multiversal in planes.
Yeah.
It wasn't called Adventures in the Outer Planes, Adventures in the Multiplanar, So it can go both ways, certainly. That's just a linguistics term.
Multiverse.
But they didn't give us information to go anywhere other than the Outlands. We're just getting sigil in the Outlands and the ability to go back in from there.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Summa2V. Thank you for dropping in. First time chatter. Glad you're here. Hey, Pixel, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. What about a beholder for a low-level group but an enclosed space with cover? Beholders cannot just slip off and escape the group, and the players have the cover from the eye stalks to move. That's my point exactly, and that's a good idea. But that's what I'm saying. First and foremost, you're nerfing the beholder to give your players the chance, and if you want to do that, you can. My concern with that is a beholder is
smarter than that.
Genius, like hyper genius level intelligence in every edition of D&D. The only thing that keeps them from going nuts is in first edition through third edition was their adherence to the hive system. Fourth edition, fifth edition was the fact that they're insanely paranoid. Yeah. So they're hyper intelligent. So have too many rules to use for. Yeah, and that's another thing. A lot of people that is an absolutely legit thing. Holy Eppa. That's a lot of shit to manage to make a good, realistic as D&D can be, kind of a fight. Earlier today I was kind of joking about if you're a DM that still uses a D4 to figure out which eye ray shoot, shame on you. I'm pretty sure that a beholder can figure out which one of its eyes is going to shoot, man.
There's so many of them. How do I choose?
But through the beholders, there's this Daleks with more eyes, less tentacles, and no pepper pots.
Fair enough.
Yeah. That is a great point, Some. If we're just trying to accommodate a fun fight for our party, we can certainly do that. You put a beholder in a small space with a bunch of columns, your players are going to be able to rip it up. I don't put my beholders like that. They're in their lair at almost all times, and their lair consists of them using their disintegration array to cut down an entire layer of the cavern above the entryway with one small little spindly place holding in it that I hit with the telekinesis beam and collapse the ceiling on the party to day one. And then I disintegrate. If I didn't already have the tunnel above me, typically I'll float upwards into the tunnel. Everyone's like, well, I'll just levitate. And then I'm going to rotate and look down at you and watch you take 20d6 falling damage as your magical flight disempowers as I continue floating upwards. Yeah, I flight beholders like a bitch, dude. So I don't like fighting them because I feel like I'm not being true to myself or the creature by fighting it in a simplistic way to allow my players an easy kill. There are certain monsters I feel that way about, man. Dragons, beholders, the archdevils. These things are big deals. They are too powerful, too strong for them to give the players any sort of advantage. That's just my opinion, y'all. Just my opinion.
Here's what I would do if you
the variant of beholder, eye power of plunging.
If you really want your players to fight a beholder, I would use a zombie beholder personally, because then you can get away with some of that stuff. They're not as smart. They sound way more wicked than the standard beholder, but they're honestly easier to fight.
Yeah, that's a good one. You got spectators, guys. You've got gazers. We've got smaller beholders. You can have it be an older beholder that's got 3 or 4 of its eye stalks that got cut off because they don't regenerate.
Yeah.
So you could actually, if in answer to that, you could have an old wounded beholder who's been isolated away from its lair, losing its mind, so it could be a little weaker. Just like you say, we got the descriptions and rules and descriptions for our creatures. We also have the reality that these things age. These things take wounds. They don't necessarily regrow. So knock off 3 of the eye stalks, and you have a manageable beholder for a group. Yeah. Protopixel kicked in. Sorry, I apologize, guys. You guys are all jumping in. It's so great to see you guys. Saf is Cthulhu kicked in the variant beholder with the eye power of a plunger. If your players are fighting a demon lord, they may stake at some point. Correct. Pixel kicks in and says, I'm going to have a Halloween team session, but I don't know really what about my main boss. I want it to be a nightmare. Do you guys know if that's a real thing or like what I can use? A nightmare like a horse nightmare? Which I know that was dumb. A what?
A Doulahan.
Yeah. We'll get to 1 second. We can probably pull something up between all the people that are here today chatting. And guys, feel free to answer each other's questions too. That's really fun when we interact with each other. The zombie beholder's nasty. The problem with him is he permanently reanimates undead he controls. That's very true. Soma's kicking back in. This is an example I was thinking of. I was in a group that encountered a zombie beholder in a shipwreck. So the situation made sense, but it was not a full-blown beholder. Absolutely right there. Like the one sitting on your chest, sleep paralysis. So like a statistical manifestation of a nightmare for your players to deal with, or like a nightmare monster ghost. I guess I'm still, because there is a horse nightmare, there is the floaty nightmare that you're talking about, there's a KNIGT mare. So certainly not trying to be evasive. Josh, probably pull up some, keep a Google up. That way
Yeah,
we can dig through it there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Dual Hand, but apparently they don't have a stat block for that, like officially.
Yeah.
Within 5e, a Dual Hand would be that's what your Sleepy Hollow thingy is with the no head, the pumpkin.
Like the
know?
Northern folklore.
Yeah.
Northern folklore. Okay.
Yeah.
Cthulhu's Kicking, one of the most head palm things I ever saw was someone criticizing the stat block of Lucifer by saying their group could easily solo him. He's Lucifer, you're going to face an infinity of devils before you get a whiff of him. Right. You know, and there's certain things that should not be stat blocked, guys.
Yes, I agree.
Set should not have a stat block. I agree that, I mean, I'm going to be one of the guys that say Bahamut should not have a stat block. Tiamat should not have a stat block. If you're going to use it, call it an aspect, an avatar of. Yes. These are deity things. If they had enough power to create a multiverse, they have enough power to blink their eye and make your 20th level character disappear without a savings throw.
Yeah. The only time I've ever used Bahamut or Tiamat within a campaign, which is the one that Sam was actually part of first, one of her first ones, was.
That's why she didn't like the game. You made her fight fucking Tiamat. No, you're the level one. You're
no, absolutely not. I would never.
I'm playing.
What I had them doing was they were in a power struggle with each other and using people as pawns for it. Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was never. They were never going to fight either one of them.
Okay. Well, I mean, but that reminds me, like the Vecna, the Vecna Lives, the one that's set in Ravenloft. Your party gets to go between the kingdoms of Vecna and Koss the Bloody, trapped in Ravenloft, and they never get to see Vecna nor Koss the Bloody the entire time. You want to talk about some disappointed motherfuckers? Where's Vecna? You're level 6. You're not going to see Vecna. Go play in the woods. This adventure sucks, man.
Man, that's messed up.
Holy Eppa's kicking in. Another thing is, if they're powerful, they could simply send these avatars in the real world create videos. Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. 100% Holy Eppa. If you want to fight Tiamat, there's a stat block. The Horde of the Dragon Queen, Rise of Tiamat. The players eventually have the chance to face off with her. Make sure you understand that you're dealing with the god. That's just a fragment of her power manifested physically on a plane that if she were to show up, the world would collapse under her weight.
It's like Darkseid from DC Comics. That's that, like, nobody has ever actually fought the real Darkseid because he's like this cosmically large fucking person, and every time you fight him in anything, it is just an aspect of him. He's like, here's a piece of me that's going to go fight you.
The little Cthulhu kicks in, says, at some point I want to have a character whose goal it is to reassemble Vecna, including the little discussed artifact.
Yes.
The rest of Vecna.
There were other artifacts. They canonically, there have been other things other than just the eye in the hand. So you 100% could do that.
What is it? Vecna Lives or Die Vecna Die? The big super module that brings Vecna out of Ravenloft and puts him into Sigil. There is actually 17 graftable body parts of Vecna canonically in that your party's supposed to put teeth and ears and patches of skin and pinkies of the right hand on so they can go fight Vecna at the end of it. It's crazy. But yes, honestly, that is canonical. Cthulhu, go take a look at, I can't remember which one. It's the third of the Vecna trilogy. Talked about a lot over on my YouTube, one of the reviews over there. Somi's kicking in. Thanks for joining us, by the way. Appreciate you jumping in, chatting first time in. Awesome. I think you can have fun in a game whether the DM is giving you a grand quest or you're just screwing around off the beaten path. People always undervalue estimation. Yeah. Well, dude, my favorite sessions, like I'm sorry.
I was just looking into to see which one it was, and I was reading a thing that says Die Vecna Die is actually an in-universe explanation of the rule changes between 2E and 3E.
Yep. That's the one I was talking about.
I did not know that.
Die Vecna Die is, well, because they did the same thing with the Fate of Istis at the end of 1E to 2E for the Greyhawk world. The Fate of Istis, which you remember me kind of referring to that module in our first Sigil thing.
Yeah.
So it was a campaign designed to transition your players from first edition to second edition. And the Die Vecna Die was a rules in canon universe rules explanation for the transition to the third edition rules and settings.
That's cool.
But there's lots of bodies out there. Exploration. Thank you. Undervalue exploration. Yeah, I was explanation both estimation. In the Dreadlands, get the cards and poker chips. Right? No kidding. Yeah, my favorite sessions are the ones where I'm a spectator, man. My players have taken over there. I'm gonna use one of my Greyhawk campaigns. For whatever reason, it's got to be really real life shit to keep me from playing. I'd missed a week before with COVID. I didn't want to miss the next week. Um, oh, awesome! Good to see you in here, Hunter. Thank you so for joining us. Good deal, man. Um, playing with my live Greyhawk group on Wednesday nights. But yeah, so I'm running my online Greyhawk group. I'm feeling like ass. I say I skipped last week. Let's play this week. I get online. I'm on camera, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I don't want to be here. So it's like first watch. I'm like, okay, you see an opossum, a possum hanging from the branch. Players took over. I sat and laughed at them fucking with that possum for a full 2 hours as they failed animal handling checks, got in fist fights over who was going to nurse the poor thing. It was such a fun session. The players just leaned into the moment, and it was all because I was just disengaged. I was feeling like crap, but I was having a great time laughing because the players just took over the moment. They immersed themselves in that moment. I want that possum. You don't get that possum. That's my possum. You got the last animal. I got. It was so great to watch players have fun, and that's one of the good things about D&D. The capability isn't just dependent on me as the dungeon master to make the fun for you guys. I mean, hell, last night, Somi, you could attest to that. 2 brand new people. It's rough to have 2 people show up in a campaign that's already flowing, but they brought so much energy to the table as the players. Damn, dude. Yeah. So never doubt your ability as a player to influence the table, both in the moment and the long-term story of the game. Bring the energy. Involve your other fellows at the table. So much. It's a force multiplier when you understand how much energy and influence you have on a game when you bring it positive.
Yeah.
The Warehouse.
Warehouse.
Yeah. Those fools. There was a gazebo pretending to be the possum. Yeah. The Warehouse. Yeah, they were found money. Absolutely amazing players. Yeah, it was a great time to have them there. But that's something I want to tell players and DMs and really emphasize. That was just for me. That was a reminder last night of I'm one small part of this, man. If I don't have players at the table, I'm talking to myself. If I don't have players to show up, I'm just writing adventures and stories for myself. I'm filling out spreadsheets, making notes. I don't get to play D&D without players. DMs, you are not bigger than the game. You're not above the game. And as a matter of fact, your game is going to thrive or suck depending on how well engaged your players are. So never sit there going, I'm the DM and you should be glad to be here. Fuck that, dude. You should be happy you got some players that are willing to deal with your crazy bullshit a few hours a week.
I saw a thing the other day.
Hey, Pixel, it was great to see you. Yeah, we'll talk to you on Saturday, man. Thank you so much for dropping in. Good to see you, buddy.
I saw a thing like a few days ago where someone was talking about they were debating on leaving their D&D campaign because their DM, whenever they would kill people, they would leave the bodies on the ground, and those areas became difficult terrain for them to get through, and they didn't find that fair, so they were going to quit their campaign because of that.
That sounds more like a last straw type of a thing, in my personal opinion.
It could be. That was all of the information I had from it, though, and I was like, that's a weird thing to quit a campaign over.
I mean, but again, I'm not going to even speculate. But yeah, that's the other being tolerant of crazy bullshit goes both ways for players and DMs. Yeah, that
absolutely.
is true too. But it's. I think it's. I don't know, man. It's all a collaborative thing. The more everyone agrees on that we are here to enjoy this shared time together, make moments, make memories, even if they're just fake pretend. Remember that time when you rolled that fucking nat 20? Oh yeah, high five on that. Kind of like last night when you were talking about how amazing it was that the stupid crazy ass fairy went flying into the building with the gnolls about to eat the family to save him. A moment that we all coalesce and go, yeah, that was pretty fucking cool, man. So that's what we get to do when we play D&D.
There's so many moments within D&D
Oh,
where
thank
you're
you
just
so
like,
much for
oh
the
man, this
subscription.
this
Appreciate you,
thing,
brother.
and those are things that you're going to remember like for like years to come. Maybe not forever, but years to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's stupid stuff that we've done a year ago that I'm still laughing about today. That we'll never let. I'm saying Ashy Slashy. We're never gonna let her live down the fucking the skunk thing ever.
Skunk up the dress.
Yeah, that'll never be a thing she'll live down. Is a skunk up the dress.
When she panicked in her deception role and started speaking French to me, and then I responded in French, and French became official thieves camp for our campaign. Yeah,
Yes.
that was a fucking beautiful moment, dude. Oh man, yeah, MVP player right there, absolutely, man. So yeah, but that's what it's about. We get the opportunities to do that, and you know what? We get the opportunity to, if you're playing with friends and family, that's always a good thing. But for me, appreciate that. Like Josh here, we, dude, I hang out with him more than I hang out with my wife sometimes, as much as she works, on certain weeks. And he lives in fucking the other side of the country. We met through a random Facebook post. Hey guys, trying to get used to running 5th edition. Need some people interested in playing. Josh, Andrew, a couple of my other players, almost everybody that all short of I guess 5 of the 20-ish players in our play group are real life friends of mine. Everyone else has been a friend that I've made, people that I've met and engaged through online D&D. So we're ignoring the playing moments thing, man. It's an opportunity to meet people and make friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
Everyone's equal at the table. Kind of one of the things that I love one of the things you said early on in our streams, brother. We're giving each other the opportunity to be weird together.
Yeah.
It's and there's a level of trust that goes in the community with D&D. And that's one thing I think, if anything else, make sure that we're fostering that trust and that openness with each other. Being a D&D player, it's still, now it's a little bit more hip. But back in the day, man, that was like a stigma, dude. And you were the super geek, but you looked out for each other because, but that still exists now, man, so
And it's
enjoy
always
it.
been a thing, like because I know you've brought this up a few times. It's always been a thing that could even bridge gaps between people, where it'd be like even the jocks might be playing D&D, and you'd be like, "Oh man, is that a monster manual in your backpack? Yeah, man, you want to read it?" Like like stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't know you played, dude. We'll talk about it later, man.
Yeah,
Because the cheerleader's looking like, "What are you talking about?"
yeah, absolutely.
The old days. Oh man, but yeah, RPGs in general, D&D particularly, all of them, man. They're great. They're great storytelling mechanism, great socialism mechanism, and I mean, as a parent, my boy's on the spectrum, and getting into D&D was I don't want to say it was a shift for him to go away from being direct and logical and literal with his communication, to be able to go from being a 6'2" big kid to playing as a rock gnome rogue. And DJ as a person is one of the most honorable, one of the most regimented, one of the most lawful people that I know. My son is. But for him to be able to really step out and feel safe to be this little bitty rock, and I'm a thief, Dad. What? I know it's kind of fun. I feel bad, but I don't. So, man, a great mechanism to enjoy those moments is true. The trust is so important. Soma's kicking in here. Everyone has to have the same baseline belief that everyone is on the same page and is working towards the same goal of fun. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's something that you got to establish and maintain through communication with each other. It's not just, a lot of times we kind of think that we had a badass session 0, man. Everyone knows what we're good. And sometimes you may have the tendency to not check back in later. And something pops up session 8. Well, we talked about that in session 0. I don't think it was anything. Man, my job as a DM is to kind of check in on the back channels. Hey, just touching base. Nah, we're cool. That I know they're just kidding. Okay, fine. But part of the trust that we're building the key is maintaining, and that's through the same attentiveness that you're going to put into your session 0, into establishing the rules at the start, the expectations at the start of your session. You need to maintain that intensity to keep it going that way.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're being a policeman. It's something we all agreed to when we started. I'm just asking you to uphold what you agreed to when you sat down at the table.
Yeah. I mean, and let's be honest, we're all human here. We all need validation. So, like there are times where you're like, well, maybe we did fuck something up, and it's okay to reach out to people and be like, hey, was this a problem? Did this bother you? Is this gonna mess anything up for you? Like stuff like that. Or you might see like 2 players that, like in within the game are very antagonistic to each other, and it might be like, hey, is this like an actual problem, or is this just playing your characters?
Yeah,
Like,
and make sure both of them are saying, "No, dude, we hang out, we go out, drink beer after the game. It's all good. We're just being dicks to each other in game because we can." You know, like a married couple we play with, dude. You know, nothing, no doubt of of their love for each other, but it's like, I gotta remind you, we're not PvPing, right?
catfish, you lying bitch. Oh my god.
Oh, those beautiful, beautiful moments. So yeah, I mean, but that's the trust. That's the expectations that have been established early on, man. You know, huge things, hugely important. It's fun stuff. Oh
Absolutely.
damn. Yeah. That line was horrifying.
That's great.
But anyone, we got about 5 minutes left here, or yeah, about 6 or 7 minutes left, I guess.
Yeah.
What's your clock say?
Yeah, about.
I got to do a hard stop at 6. I've got the hungry teenager that just so eloquently pointed out he's a good kid. He's also a big ass kid, and if I told him I'm cooking dinner, I better go cook dinner because he's kind of lawful. You said you were gonna do it, so I gotta cut off here in a few minutes to cook. But man, it's been great. Thanks for joining us, Hunters. Great to see you in here. Cthulhu, awesome. We're not done yet. Feel free to ask questions, join the chat a little bit more. It's good having you guys here. Typically, we would be segueing right now and in a panic because we'd have another session starting pretty soon. But I think we're out next week. We come back, right?
Yes, we're back next week. Yes.
Yes. Shadows of what we do in the Shadows of Barovia will be carried over on Grizzly 10 Finn's channel. My partner, you can see his little tag if you look down there where my fingers point on your screen and where he pointed. Our live play sessions, he's gracious enough to host all of them. Tuesday nights is a Greyhawk campaign. Thursday nights is what we do in the Shadows of Barovia, and Friday nights we do Sigil, Sigil and Broken Sigil, Unbroken Sigil, Rebroken Sigil.
Yeah,
we've called it a couple different things.
We started off,
yeah.
we had a Broken Sigil campaign that we were doing, and then we scrapped that and restarted. So this is the Rebroken Sigil.
Yeah. But it's a lot of good times. I want a t-shirt with this sentence. I was part of a character creation, now I'm called Daddy.
Oh, God. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, God.
It took a second for that to dawn on me what the hell that meant, but
No, I was laughing my ass off on it, but I'm like, holy crap, how many proxy children do I have?
Oh, my goodness.
No, that reminds me of that horrifying Ouija board meme. Did I share that one with you?
I don't think so. Ouija board.
It was a picture of like a really well-toned girl's tummy down to right above the panty line.
You didn't show it, but you did tell me about
it. Oh,
it.
yeah. And the Ouija board like tattooed on there. And the caption's like, "This is how you summon child support."
Let me ask you like a weird question.
Have to. I'm sorry. Go ahead, real quick.
Go ahead, because mine's a dumb thing. So go ahead.
So, someone's asking. I have to ask how much what we do in the shadows bleeds into the Barovia campaign. I heard you talk about Nandor last night, so now I'm curious. We're just a tiny bit so far. They kept failing their perception checks, but finally, someone got a passive check as they heard someone shout "Bat!" and they saw an oversized bat fly off into the darkness. They've been informed that the village of Wallachia is now called New Stanton for some strange reason, and the werewolf support group of Krezk is having issues with a particular vampire house. This is what the players have been exposed to so far. If that kind of
yeah,
enough little nuggets here and there. Oh yes, but yeah, Laszlo, Naja, Nandor, obviously Guillermo's going to be there. Colin Robinson is going to be their torture device. If they ever need to go somewhere, and they don't know how to go, I'll be glad to go with you and allow me to inform you on the entire history of the region. Did you notice the dogwood trees as we came? And I'm just going to Colin Robinson the fuck out of them, and they're going to lose hit points as they listen to Colin Robinson.
Oh man, I don't know how long our party will go before we attempt to kill him, though. With the group that we have.
Oh shit! And then for my, you heard me referring last night to the Kung Pao stuff. If you know anything about Curse of Barovia, Tatiana or Irina Kolyana is the big bride. She's basically Ling.
Yeah.
The voicing of Ling from Kung Pao. So there's no one gonna be hitting on her. Even Straw's like, oh fuck, really? This is what I got to listen to the rest of eternity? I don't know that I'm down with this chick, man.
You keep her. No, we want you to
Yes.
take her.
No, I insist. I will wait for the next reincarnation. We do not need this. And obviously, I've got young Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein, stuck in the castle to the north for extra assistance. If you're familiar with the old 80s D&D cartoon, those kids have replaced the Revenants down at Arkinvest. They got to get all their magic weapons together, and if they can do that, then they can help the party whip ass. But Strahd's like trying to he's so sick of this shit. He is so sick. He's ready to go. But if you guys know how the Dark Domains work, they don't just go away unless the
issue is
Lord of the domain figures out how to remove themselves from the domain. If he's killed, he's going to reform, or someone's going to take his place, and he's sick of it. He's ready. So yeah, I went overboard with this thing. We're going to have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah,
it's so dumb. It's so
Jerry.
silly, but it's so fun. Oh yes,
Jerry's always
our cleric. Our cleric is played by Josh's better half, Sam. This is her first real immersive campaign, and she is not. You remember me talking about how much of an impact players can have? This girl's knocking it out of the fucking park, man.
Yeah, she's well.
She plays a Kenku grave cleric, Squawks, and she might say 3 words a session as Squawks, but she got a sock puppet on named Jerry.
Yeah, that's him.
And yes, it's sitting on the shelf behind Josh there. And she'll do most of her RP through Jerry, and he's the most obnoxious, psychotic sock puppet in the world. So how do you but that's the thing, is like, how serious should we take a sock puppet? We better take it pretty serious because it's attached to the cleric, and then she starts arguing with herself, and I lose my shit, dude.
It's good. She's really good.
Great. It's great session made because the players bring it. It's just a bunch of silly satirical shit that I strung together through dozens of years of bad pop culture references that the players are adding the life to, man. So I mean, as much as I enjoy running it, dude, y'all are the ones that are making it, man.
Okay.
But hey.
So let me ask you my dumb question before we get off.
Okay.
So we were talking about high school before, the jocks and the nerds and stuff like that. But like when I was in high school, there really weren't cliques per se. And I was curious, like, because I know you're about 20 years older than me, give or take. So I was curious, is that a real thing in like 80s movies? Is that a real thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now here's the caveat: not every person belonged to a clique. The vast majority of people of my peers in high school didn't necessarily belong to anything. But we all identified with one or two. So yes, the cliques were definitely a thing. I was considered a freak or a stoner, whichever one you wanted to call us back. Heavy metal, long-haired, even though my mom said if you come home with long hair, I'll shave you bald. So I was a short-haired, half Vietnamese heavy metal kid that was like a closet metalhead, But yeah, the Ropers down in Dallas, we had the Ropers, because they all wear their Justin Roper boots, and they drove pickup trucks and hung out at Whataburger on Friday nights.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you had actually they were called bowheads back in our day. In the 80s, remember, if you ever seen the 80 art with the big, yes, because you had all your preppy chicks there. Obviously, you had your jocks. You had your bangers, the gangbangers. You had the drama kids. You had the punk rocker skater boys, kind of overflow there. And then obviously you had the band kids. Fabulous. So, whether you want to admit it or not, that was kind of part and parcel. But here's the thing you guys got to remember: no cell phones, cable TV was kind of becoming normal. If you wanted to see a movie, you either went to the fourplex, or you went to Blockbuster Video or Hollywood Video to rent a movie for your VHS. So we were surrounded in an echo chamber of our own friends at that time.
That's fair.
So it was very easy to be cliquish because you're kind of forced into it. Who did you get along with? Sean. What is he? He's a freak, but he's got a car, so I'm a freak too.
Fair enough. Okay.
So it was very cliquish. But now, do you need to put this caveat? I don't want to make it sound like fucking 80s movies, like fucking Dangerous Minds or some shit like that. We weren't like all drawn down on each other in the hallways. It was nothing that extreme, y'all. Okay.
But yeah, I'm thinking like Pretty in Pink and like like the Brat Pack style movies where it's like,
absolutely.
the jock and the geek and the
you got to remember, John Hughes made that shit for my age group to appeal to us through the commonality, you know? So it's like, oh, we all needed to see each other in somebody. Someone needed to see themselves in Ducky. Someone needed to see themselves in Bender, you know? And that was the huge appeal for it because he mirrored high school 80, 90 society so well. Having a car definitely helped make some friends. Ain't that right, brother? Yes. Gas money like a motherfucker. Hey, man, you got gas money? Yeah. I knew some of them dudes didn't pay for a penny of gas all of high school, man. Son of a bitches.
100%. Yeah, most definitely.
Of course, when you were not down of drugs in the hallways, you were high to resistant to drugs for that. Oh yeah, I'm getting yeah, no kidding. But even then, like it's the drug scene back in the 80s and the 90s, high school or 80s. I graduated in 90. Not as bad as it is now. You know, I feel bad for the kids nowadays. We might have been dealing with pot. You might have had 2 or 3 kids whose parents were rich enough to sneak away with a little bit of coke. Crank was just starting to get acid was the big thing in my high school. Acid, there's a lot of fucking acid going around, man.
So like literally, so you know, I was at the vape shop this last week, and I saw like in their window it was like fentanyl test strips sold here, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, is that like such a prominent
crazy shit?
That's crazy to me that like you would need that kind of thing and that it would be that readily available. I'm like, that's fucking wild to me. Like,
but you know, so it's like, but all of that kind of just bullshit. As we finish up here, think about, you know, the Eddie Munson from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
You know, every person in my age group that went to high school knew a fucking Eddie Munson. I was fortunate enough to hang out. Well, I can't say Eddie, but all of us D&D freaks from the 80s, we all see a little bit of ourselves in Eddie, or we saw some of our friends in Eddie. So that was a huge driver. It's like, motherfuckers, they nailed us like a damn.
Okay, I was just curious if that was a real thing or not, because like
Straight up.
I love John Hughes movies like 100%. So like yeah.
You know, the Levi's 501 blues requirement. If you didn't have 501 button fly, you were a poor motherfucker. And you better have a matching Levi jacket jean jacket if you're a freak. And you saved up that money so you can put that badass Iron Maiden the Trooper backpack on the back of your shit. And then you started taking your drawing all of your little band, this, that. Yeah, it was overboard, man. It's so stupid.
My mom grew up poor, so she actually told me about the Levi's thing. She said that her mother had actually learned how to sew the same patterns into her jeans so she could buy cheapo jeans and just sew them to look like the Levi jeans. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Dude, yeah. You know, I mean, it was there weren't nearly as much.
Levi's are still expensive. They're like $70 for a pair of pants.
Man, look at this. We were supposed to finish 5 minutes ago. Took me down a rabbit hole of reminiscence.
Yes,
this is what happens when an old gray hair faced man start talking about his high school childhood. And those of you that didn't get chased off, thank you so much for enduring.
Yeah, we need to get off. I know you need to go get some food.
But hey, Holy Happy, if you're still there, Soma, thank you so much. Everyone else who might still be lurking back there. Appreciate your time today. We had a lot of fun. Yes. More than anything, as usual. I regret nothing. Fuck yeah, baby.
But yeah, just another reminder before we get off. We are off tonight. We are playing tomorrow. Off the next 2 weeks for Tuesday. Okay.
I might amend that to 1 week. I'm gonna talk to I'm gonna talk to everyone kind of one-on-one and see what we can figure out there. If we can get going a little bit sooner rather than later, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll update later.
Yeah, I'm just letting everybody know before we get off. But yes.
Please help so much talk. I must throw dice before it's too late. Yeah. Happy? Okay, I got to die for you, man. I rolled a 70.
All right, hold on.
I rolled a 70 on my 10-sided. Woo, look at me roll, baby. It was great seeing you, Win. Awesome. Appreciate you being here so much, Soma. I don't want a dead name if I can help it. You rolled a 7. I rolled a 7D. Fuck yeah, man. I roll that roll off. But you guys, thank you so much for your times. Likes, follows, subscribes. Normally, we do this every Thursday afternoon, usually 3:30 to 5:30, sometimes a little later. And then obviously Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central, I'm over on my channel talking shit. Josh is here running some badass retro gameplay on a nightly basis, Tuesday through Friday. If you're into the good old stuff, drop on in and have a good time. Thank you guys for bringing it. Appreciate all the energy. Appreciate all the comments. It's always so much better that way, because Josh doesn't have to listen to me bitch at him the whole night, because I deflect to you. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
thank you so much for your time tonight, guys.
Absolutely. My dumbass forgot I had a D100 on my desk.
Oh, that would have won. That wouldn't have been fair at all. I'm glad we ended when we did. Otherwise, you would have rolled
Yeah.
heavy on my ass, man. But
All right.
you guys be safe.
See
We'll
you,
see you
dude.
soon. Take care.
Bye.